The following is a presentation of the iRacing Esports Network.
A native, Martin Kroenke, he will start himself on pole position here today. It's going to be a long race. It will be a frustrating race for a number of drivers, but it's all going to be about who can get maximum momentum at the start of this event. The lights will go on top of the iRacing gantry. We are ready to go racing here at the Nürburgring. Lights are out. We are away, and it's a good start then by Kroenke as they storm down into turn one. Look at Gregor Houtu in towards that first corner. He holds the outside line. He will take second place away from the looks of it of Marcus Jensen. So Houtu up into second place early on. Behind, we've got ourselves a little bit of beating and banging. Mitchell de Jong remains in fourth place for the time being, but what a start there, Johnny, by Gregor Houtu.
Yeah, Houtu rocketed off the line. There he is, riding on board with him, heading through the middle part of the lap right now. He's edging closer and closer to Kroenke here. It'll be an epic first lap if he can get past. But for Martin, perfect start. Almost had a touch from Marcus Jensen heading into the first corner, but it was all clean. The Burst Esports driver demoted to third.
Well, Jake, that's going to change a lot of the strategy now for Martin Kroenke, because it was Jensen who was running in second place. Kroenke might have thought he could stretch his legs. He can't do that anymore because I believe that Houtu is in charge mode.
Yeah, he certainly is. Also keep an eye on that start because it checked up for Jamie Fluke, and Fluke went around into his own teammate, no less. And I believe that was Antoine Higeland at the very, very beginning of this race. So really not ideal here for Apex Racing drivers on the opening.
Looking from the rear end of Martin Kroenke's Toyota Simsport car. Houtu with DRS. He has a great opportunity here, Will. I think he's a bit too far behind, but certainly to pack on some pressure.
Yeah, and again, oh, it goes right down to the inside. Goes Gregor Houtu, and he's been able to get the inside line for turn number 2. Pass of the season there. Gregor Houtu storms himself down to the race lead. I cannot believe that. Let's have a look again on board with Gregor Houtu, because this one was something special. He came back from 4 car lengths back in towards turn number 1, launched it down to the inside. He somehow managed to make it work. He overshot the corner, and arguably, Johnny, I would say that Kroenke realized that Houtu overshot and gave him the position.
Wow. I think that Gregor Houtu didn't mean to make that move, Will. I'm going to say something very silly. I don't think he meant it. It was such a late dive down to the inside, and it was almost as if I'm hitting my braking point. Oh, wait, I'm going so much quicker. Fury, controversy, every little bit of animosity in between. That is what Oval brought to the World Cup of iRacing. But now we take to the roads. It's a whole new fresh slate, and these semi-finals become even more important, because if chances went begging for you, this is where you've got to go and make this a victory. If you got said victory, this is where you double down or go bust completely. This is Brands Hatch in the Lotus 79s. This is the World Cup of iRacing Road here on the iRacing Esports Network and brought to you by RaceSpot TV. I'm Jake Sperry, joined by Connery Maddock. And Connery, we had fireworks go off. A powder keg exploded at Michigan. But here at Brands Hatch, this is a completely different story.
It is very much a different story. Not as much close quarters racing as you get on the ovals, usually on the road side of things, but these guys are going to have a fantastic fight in these Lotus 79. So we're winding back the clock a little bit in terms of the period of racing that we have here in the World Cup of iRacing, but it's going to be at Brands Hatch as well. So you could say that falls into the hands of the UK and Ireland club being a home track, but things are not as simple as that. We've got this first semi-final to get ourselves over and done with first. Then we've got Finland versus Canada once again in the second semi-final, and then that big issue of the grand final to be considered.
Certainly is, and Fiat will want to act revenge for what was a unanimous destruction of them in the opening semi-final. As I just see Mike Rogan go sideways down Paddock Hill Bend. Such a difficult track here for this Lotus 79 here, Connery. It's got a lot of elevation change here, this track, and of course this vehicle does rely very heavily on that ground effect, which will be very much affected by that massive rise and drop, especially at Hailwood Hill.
Yeah. Exactly. It's this sort of period of cars were very much known for the ground effect and for how easily that ground effect can become undone. Of course, I believe it was one of the factors that led to the death of Ayrton Senna. So that is going to be a huge, huge one. It's, you know, these cars I think will be fine on this racetrack, but they do have that little bit to be concerned about right now. As looking further back in this practice session right now, it is still going the way of the UK and Ireland. They've got P1, 2, 3, 4 in practice right now. We'll get qualifying underway in just a minute's time, but this should, and I say should, be a UK and I win. It
should, but that's what the form book says. Maybe the racing will throw a completely different set of alternatives out there. Mark Usher, currently the fastest man in practice, and I just want to talk about Mark Usher for a second because arguably he is the best driver I think out there in this field that does not have a mainstream team attached to him, Connery. And that makes me think that Mark Usher should be a driver that should be very high in demand from teams.
Yeah, exactly. Absolutely fantastic driver, especially in these more classic cars. The Lotus 79, he's quite rightly top of the timing boards in practice right now and looking to gain pole position in qualifying, but practice will be ending rather quickly here in this one, so we get to see what the grid will look like come the first race. It's a similar format here in the Road World Cup as it was to the Oval World Cup. We'll have 12 lap heats, mandatory pit stop required, but like in the ovals, you do not have to take your service.
Do not have to take any service at all, but practice coming to a close here at Brands Hatch, which means it is time to get ready for qualifying. A little bit different, though, from what we saw in the ovals, because it's not 5 minutes, 2 laps. We're doubling it. It's 10 minutes and 4 laps worth of qualifying, which just about starts now. And the first vehicle out on track will be Matthew Webb in the number 73 Club UK and Ireland machine, looking to try and get his first times on the board.
Just saw the practice times up on the board, so we'll get ourselves qualifying going here. Matthew Webb, as you quite rightfully mentioned, first car out there on circuit right now in the number 73, looking to put a good time in for that UK and Ireland club in this first race, the Heat 1 of the first semi-finals. What can DH do? Seems like in practice they were behind in terms of the pace, but they can pull off some fantastic lap times that might bring them into the mix.
And some have said that in Club UK and Ireland have had it easy, and Club UK and Ireland, you can argue, certainly have with the implosion of Italy in their quarter-final. So Do you think that Club UK and Ireland are taking everything that comes to them, or do you feel like they have been yet to be challenged and are waiting for DH to become that challenge?
I don't even think at this stage DH will be challenging them for the race wins, for example, but they can certainly take a huge amount of points away from them. Whether they've been sort of complacent and just, lucked into the, well, not lucked, but sort of not been challenged all the way into this stage, I'm not entirely sure. Italy was going to be a huge challenge, but they sort of imploded on their own accord, so I don't know about this one. Finland's going to be strong if they make themselves get to that, if they get themselves to that grand final, and I think honestly that they'll have the talent advantage when it comes to that. But this is the home circuit, this is the home track for the UK and Ireland side, so that is going to be an advantage that they'll always have in this semi-final and in the grand finals if they get there.
Watching Dan Heron in the number 2, Club DH here, as he makes his way through turn number 4 out on track, now making that run up Hellwood's Rise and then through the fall as he makes his way to Hawthorne's Corner. This fantastic right-hander, and this right-hander so brave in these vehicles, 200 kilometers an hour. Westfield Bend, this corner that opens and closes very, very quickly. A lot of curve there on the exit, down Dingledell and up into this fantastic right-hander there as he now looks to try and make everything work. Stirling's Bend, and now the final corner as well of the Jim Clark curve. This for Dan Heron is looking like a pretty sophisticated lap as things stands for the number 2 car, as he takes that tight line down towards the line. 1:39 by Jack McIntyre, the fastest so far. 14:1 from Heron, who's in third. George Lambert with a 13:4.
Yeah, fantastic lap times going up onto the board, but it isn't the UK&I dominance right now, or at least just yet, with Heron in third. We've got Florian Efeld there down in P number 6 now, since we did have a driver jump up the timing screens, and that's going to be Hirschka there for DH. So it's UK&I, DH, UK&I, DH, UK&I, DH, UK&I, and then DH as well. So that is a huge mix up the front of the field. Stadler though, P number 4. DH coming alive in qualifying, whereas they weren't there in practice.
Yeah, Mark Usher though on a flying lap as Fleur Hughes makes his way into second position. The most unpronounceable Welsh name I think I'll ever find. Connery being a native Welshman will have a lot better pronunciation than I will for those who are pretty much grammar people in the audience. But here's Usher though, final corner for him in the number 3, looking to make that run to the line, and we'll see if he's got anything pretty much to argue about on his first qualifying lap. Answer 1:89, so it was a very slow first lap, but building up to it, has 3 more on offer.
Yeah, Mark Usher not putting in a good lap at all. We'll see Matthew Webb come onto the timing boards and immediately gets pushed down by Dan Heron, who gets himself up into P number 4. We have Jack McIntyre though, P number 2 on the timing screens right now. So P1, 2 and 3 on the grid for the UK and Ireland club right now, but we still got a good couple of cars yet to set their second qualifying laps. Mark Usher is one of them. Same with Boudica as well in the number 19 car. We have Fleur Hughes then, 42, drives himself to the line. Can he improve on P number 3 on the grid? A 13.5 becomes a 13.7. He's not able to improve. Boudica though in the number 19 machine, can he improve on a 14.7 and get himself further up that grid? The answer is going to be yes. Where does that promote him to? Only 1 position.
Only 1 position, that's not ideal, but let's look at track conditions here today. It's 37 degrees on the track, winds from the southeast at 15 kilometers an hour. It's a medium to hot track, which means that these are going to be very difficult conditions to improve times in qualifying, as Mark Pickford loses 0.2 of a second on his third lap time, as things go on. Mark Usher did not set a representative time on the second lap, so that's going to be a little worrying here, but it is UK&I 1, 2, 3. It is Barry West moving up into the 5th position. Bristolian Barry West with a great time for him.
Yeah, brilliant stuff with a 1:13.8 as it stands though, as I repeat your catchphrase quite often there, Jake. We've got the front 3 cars, all UK&I, all within 1/10 of a second in qualifying. Very close stuff at the front of the field. I think we're just waiting for a couple of cars to make their way through. There's Claire Hughes, though, to the pole position. Fantastic stuff for the Welshman, but we've still got Steve Greenwood yet to set his second lap time. He's coming through the middle sector right now. Yeah, and I've just seen Florian Harfeld just hold an almighty slide. I believe it's the Sheeton curve. He's done so well to hold that together, as I think Greenwood's had his own little moment as things look, but that's not what things happen as yet. You've made me very self-conscious. Mark Usher moves up into third position, 2,000ths off of George Lambert. He's got 1 lap to make it happen. George Lambert, though, respond that, 1:13.1. He says, I'm the quickest in UK&I. We've got 4-lap qualifying here on the roadside as opposed to the 2 laps that they had on the oval side. Gives these drivers a little bit more room to work with to get their times up onto the board. I'm just having a look. Usher still has another lap to work with. We've also got the cars of Claire Hughes as well, heading his way across the line. Can he steal pole position away from his teammate? That's going to be the issue, heading his way across the line. A 1:13.312, not going to be enough to challenge George Lambert at the front of the field. Boudica, maybe Diach's last chance? No, he decides to head his way on towards their lane, and Mike Rogin as well has decided to abort his lap. He's done for the day as well, so I think this qualifying grid is pretty much set right now with only Usher on the lap. And Usher will make his way to the final corner and is very, very wiggly on the exit, trying to deal with so much torque in the rear tyres as he makes his way to slow it over the line. That is that, as he reverses it backwards to get himself some start practice. That's very interesting there from Mark Usher, as he looks to try and get himself a little bit of a cheeky advantage. But that will be that then. In terms of qualification, nobody else will be able to set a flying lap time. That's a 1:33, by the way, for Mark Usher, with that little practice start in as well. Everybody qualified. The grid shall be as follows. George Lambert then, pole position, 1:13.169. Claire Hughes will start from second, with Mark Usher third and Jack McIntyre in 4th position. UK&I 1, 2, 3 and 4. The first Diach car comes from Dan Heron, with Harold Stadler in 6th. Barry West in 7th. Worth noting that Heron and Stadler matched times to the 1,000th of the second. Dennis Hirschka will start from 8th. Mark Pickford from 9th, and Florian Eilefeld will round out the top 10. Matthew Webb will start 11th, with Dirk Federman in 12th. Joachim Boudica in 13th, with Steve Greenwood, Mike Rogin and Daniel Newman riding out the 16 that will take to the starting grid in just a minute's time. But Connery, it can really break down in vehicles like these if you are not careful. You cannot actually refuel these sorts of cars because they have unfuelable fuel tanks. But what they do have is a really, really interesting phenomena, which is that these cars get quicker and quicker the lighter and lighter they go on the fuel. The tyres don't really go off as much as other vehicles in the Formula categories. Yeah, basically built the tyres like sort of with some sort of bulletproof Kevlar or something, with how long they last. But it's certainly an interesting predicament. So the tyres won't be going off by the end of the race like we saw on the oval side of things. As fantastic qualifying, though, for the UK and Ireland club. Top 4 in qualifying. We've got for Diach, P number 5 and 6. Then Barry West, P number 7. So advantage UK and Ireland in qualifying, but things looking pretty close, especially in that mid-pack where we had those 2 drivers tie in terms of the lap times that they had set. That's Dan Heron and Harold Stadler, with the drivers around them not too far away either. So this mid-pack could be congested with the top 3 pulling away. It certainly could be very, very congested indeed. Remember, there is a mandatory pit stop, and it will need to be taken by all drivers in this field, but nobody wants to be caught out in the early goings of this one, as drivers now start gridding up for first heat in this best of 3 series race. All best of 3 series here in the World Cup of iRacing, brand new
for this year, and I have to say it has been phenomenal just how it's been taken to by the teams as well as the fans watching as well. Get social with us here on RaceSpot TV. You can get us on Facebook and on the Twitter machine as well. Make sure that you get a good eye out on what has been going on here with RaceSpot TV, and of course our good friends as well who join us on the iRacing eSports network too, the likes of SimSpeed TV and the likes as well. So engine notes rise.
In just a moment.
In just a moment. Right, drivers are a little bit impatient. I reckon they're trying to burn a bit of fuel, but finally the last vehicle gets on. That's Mark Usher. Let's finally get ourselves underway then. Semi-final one is go, and it's a slow start. It's slow start from Mark Usher. A little bit of contact with one of the DH cars. Usher gets a turn. It was almost a case of Italy's implosion becomes a UK&I incredible moment, but there from that on, I believe that they've all managed to survive it. Great car control from everybody in this field, but a disaster for Mark Usher.
Usher stalled on the grid. He'll have to take the tow back to pit lane. He simply just didn't get away. I have to wonder exactly what the situation was, because he just didn't get going at all. I have to even see if he did rev the engines at all. He didn't. He had no throttle control whatsoever on the grid, wasn't able to rev the engine for the start, and now he's just left stranded on the racetrack at the start of lap one.
And that's disaster, because he's got to get that sorted quickly for the second race as well. So for the moment, UK and Ireland are down a man as Dan Heron has a big moment through Westfield Bend, heading up to the Sheeton Curve, and that just is a little worry with Stadler and Barry West just there behind. Barry West all over the curb, trying to close down Harold Stadler, but it is a top three breakaway for UK and Ireland, most crucially for their challenge as things look at this stage. But right now it's a case of, oh my goodness me, I've just had a look at one of the DH cars right at the back of the field. That was Daniel Newman, who absolutely had a massive moment thinking about coming onto pit road and pretty much decided to do a Lewis Hamilton a la Hockenheim.
Oh, that is a huge moment for that particular driver there as they failed to get themselves down in the lane, but it looks like it's still a good advantage despite the false start, or not even a start from Mark Usher. He'll drop himself right to the back of the field, last place position out there on circuit. So that is a small drama for the UK&I club. It could have been much worse though, with how many cars could have been collected behind with that car stranded on the grid.
And what's even more telling is right now it's 6 in the top 7 for a certain team, because I believe that UK&I have seen Harold Stadler come down and make the stop on the opening lap of this event. Very different, the stopping patterns then compared to the oval right now, as there is going to be a little look then who decides to come down onto the lane. They're going to leave it later than many would have thought. In comes Mark Pickford though, very much a CTC Lotus 79 regular. That's from our good friends at the Global Sim Racing channel, and that's where a lot of the UK&I team is going to be based. Drivers like Clear Hughes, drivers like Mark Pickford and Barry West all have that grounding as bona fide Lotus 79 drivers as their primary vehicle.
Yep, exactly, and their skill is just showing in this race right now. P1, 2, 3 breakaway. They've got about, well, almost a second and a half all the way back to the next DH driver of Dan Heron. So Dan Heron is actually going to be falling even further back off this trainer as well. He's not able to make up those lap times in this one. We've got a little bit of a spread out field as a result of that lap 1 incident right now, but Boudica and I believe that was Hishka there just swapping positions out there on circuit, coming through the middle sector. But Steve Greenwood though, he's looking for the position through towards the right-hander. He will get it, but he's overshot the corner, down up through Dingle Dell. He doesn't even get down the hill before he goes for the spin. He has to get back out there on track with a clean circuit. That is hell there for Greenwood.
Well, it was a dingle, but there was no Dell to follow as Greenwood now gets himself going. Wait for Dirk Federman to make his way by, and those minor positions mean a lot. In comes Daniel Newman, in comes Dennis Hioshka onto pit road, as they look to make their one and only stops in this event. Keep an eye on Matthew Webb as well, because Florian Eilefeld is desperately going to try and make that position and get a few more points in favour. It's 118 to 75 as things stood just a lap ago. So right now, you feel like DH are maybe the team who need to find something, but there have been some little mistakes, Connery, creeping in from those in the rear of the UKNI camp.
Yep, exactly. We've had Usher go out. We've had Steve Greenwood have his issue. He's going to come down for a pit stop service, or at least not even the service there, as they're not required to take it. So he'll be off and away pretty quickly here. I'm currently having a look at the car of Florian Eilefeld here, trying to chase down the car of Matthew Webb. He did lose time on that last lap, so this battle might not even be one with how the gap is extending, but it's DH's best hope of gaining positions right now, as Dan Heron, he's dropping back into this.
Eilefeld just ran wide coming through the final corner, and that has completely derailed any progress of trying to get to Matthew Webb. And now Mike Rogan just sat behind will go, well, okay, you're just sat there, that's fine by me in this scenario. So for the time being at least, it seems that the club DH team are starting to make mistakes, as Mike Rogan has made his way through on Florian Eilefeld. Now look at Barry West though, he's caught Dan Heron. This could be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 Club UK and Ireland, and that would be very, very telling, trying to direct all of their traffic after oval calamities against Finland in the final to try and move to said final once again. But Barry West now sitting and thinking, okay, here's the chance to go and make the move through the next right-hander. The sheen curve comes up, and now Dan Heron is under pressure from Barry West.
Absolutely. Baz is piling on the pressure then onto Dan Heron, and that time's half a tenth of a second faster last time. I think that one's going to be a big chunk taken out on this lap as well. Jack McIntyre on the lane for his scheduled stop. Barry Westlow looking towards the inside at Paddock Hill Bend, but not able to make the move. Means he does lose momentum through the corner, so the opportunity isn't on coming through Durance.
And well, you have to remember there is a big dirty air effect in these vehicles too. You can run right up to the rear. It is minimized around this sort of circuit because it is very difficult to get to those top speeds, but it is one of those parts of the vehicle where if you do have yourself in front, it is a very tough track to make an overtake at if you are not prepared.
Yeah, exactly. But right now, Barry West, he had that opportunity into Paddock Hill Bend last time, not able to make any more inroads to have another shot at things on this next lap. But we can say that UKNI are comfortably leading right now, 118 points to DH's 75. So that is more like it, or not like it there for Barry West as he pushes wide, coming up towards Sterling's Bend. That left-hander they'll go through. Means that Matthew Webb has caught right up to the back of him, but since they're teammates, I don't think they'll fight this one out. But Barry West slides it through the Jim Clark curve, decides to head his way in.
Yeah, onto pit road comes Barry West. No other drivers come in. Lap 7 of 12, already halfway through this event. Yet to pit. Lambert, Hughes, Heron, Webb, Rogan, all yet to come down in. Boudica as well, yet to come in. Jack McIntyre, the first of those who have made their stops, as Harold Stadler actually gets out ahead of Mark Pickford. So don't count Harold Stadler out here in this race, because Stadler is going to change things here for DH, because remember, Stadler pitted in very, very early, yes, behind McIntyre, but now look at McIntyre, stuck behind Joaquin Boudica, should make light work, but this is very difficult.
Yeah, this is absolutely huge, as the pit stop phase will be a lot more tricky in these road cars than it was for the oval, because you can get stuck in behind traffic much easier in these road cars than you can on the oval. But there we go, Jack McIntyre has made his way through on Boudica. Just a fantastic amount of pace behind the wheel for McIntyre right now as he works his way back up through, but we're still waiting for the sort of half the drivers out there on circuit right now to come in. Waiting for Lambert, Hughes, Heron, Webb and Rogan as well. Waiting for Boudica to head his way in as well, but Matthew Webb decides to head his way in. technically the lowest iRacing driver in this entire field, but still running very, very well when all things are considered.
iRacing's just a number, let's be honest. Gap comes down though, 86 but 187. Keep an eye on Pickford trying to make the move on Harold Stadler. Not there, not quite, but there's another little scrap between the red and the black cars that are going at it. Stadler had to diamond the corner off, and Pickford nearly ran it straight into that rear of that Lotus 79. That could have so easily have been disaster.
Easily have been, as through the long left. Up the hill they will go. That was Surtees corner, turn number 4. Down the hill before you go back up the hill, up through turn number 5 of Hawthorns. Looking for a decent line through here as Pickford took a wider line, gets the exit speed for Westfield though, not able to sneak his way down the inside as down Dingledell, back up the hill they will go. Up towards the left of Sterling's Ben, not really big overtaking opportunity is this particular corner. You're going to have to wait until you can get towards turn number 1 again on the next lap, but Pickford is being held up here by Stadler, and so this is kind of what DH need right now. They need to be a nuisance to these UKNI drivers, but a good exit off of Clark Curve then for Pickford, able to challenge down the inside for Paddock Hill. Ben, they'll go this fantastic roller coaster of a downhill right-hander. Pickford still holds the inside for Druids. Can he do it on the brakes? He's tentative on the brakes because the DH driver beside him went so much deeper. Stadler is still able to fight through towards Graham Hill now. Fantastic battling, but Stadler, he goes wide, he slides and forces Pickford off the track.
I wonder if Paul Thurston will have a look at that and say that wasn't fair sport. Yes, it wasn't deliberate from Stadler. The back stepped out, but it has cost time, and that is Mark Pickford now, who will have to struggle with very fragile suspensions in these vehicles. Something just to keep a little bit of a mind on. Also to keep a mind on, drivers cannot pit on lap number 12 to make their stop. You cannot Michael Schumacher your way out of it a la Silverstone. You have to come down in, and it is lap 10 of 12 with 3 laps to go. So now all next lap's time, Lambert and Hughes and Heron and Rogan, or not Rogan anymore, he's coming down onto the lane, will have to decide to make some stops. But I think that DH team are a lot closer in it than meets the eye at the moment, because Webb is definitely struggling. He had an incredibly long stop. You got Greenwood at the back and Usher. It is being basically bookended right now by UK and Ireland, and that's not helping things.
Yeah, exactly. It's kind of very similar to what happened in the Oval final, where we had the cars that are finishing last, second to last, third to last, all being UK and Ireland cars. So hopefully that sort of situation hasn't happened again in this one. I think they're just still slightly ahead in terms of the points lead right now, but that could all change because we're still waiting for Lambert, Hughes and Heron to decide to head their way in, and where they'll file out in terms of that huge DH pack is going to be very important.
It is. Jack McIntyre's been doing 14 flats. Lambert a 13.9 as George Lambert dives onto the lane. Does Clear Hughes follow? Yes, he does. So 6 and 42 make the lane. Dan Heron decides it's time to make the lane as well. This will release Jack McIntyre potentially into a race leading position, as it's a very short pit road, a very quick pit road as well. Hughes hits his mark, Lambert hits his mark as well, and Lambert will get away. So Hughes back into 3rd position, McIntyre in 2nd, Lambert retains the lead. Heron will come out with Stadler, so this is 4th and 5th right now. Vital points right now for DH with Mark Pickford so far behind.
Yeah, exactly. We'll have to see how that one works out as the points updates are coming through. But this was as of a couple of minutes ago. It's 104 UK and 89 DH. How it stands right now, I do not know. Just as I say that, thank you very much, Paul Thurston. Here's the points update. 110 UK and DH 83. DH still very much in it, but there are no battles close on circuit they can get themselves stuck into, as we have coming up to 1 lap to go.
Even more crucial is that with the 14 reverse, there will be 2 UK and I cars right at the very, very back of the field. Mark Usher is back out and running again, has fixed his issue, which will be useful. He's doing 14.8s right now, just desperately trying to just drive around. He'll be doing that for pride, but for Stephen Greenwood, he will be starting towards the rear as well, which will be more help to that German contingency, when you talk about Newman, Hirschke, Bodecker, Federman, Rogan, and Ehlefeld, that's 6 DH cars in a row. That would be nightmarish. Try and get by. White flag comes out, though, here at Brands Hatch. George Lambert leading from Jack McIntyre. They gap 0.3 of a second, and hopefully they don't do anything stupid in this situation to influence anything in favor of their opponents. And I don't think anyone would like to see anything of that happen. Even, you know, when you talk about DH, if they were in a similar situation. But through that Surtees corner and now up and down the hill, they will go for the final time in heat number 1. George Lambert, Jack McIntyre, Claire Hughes, all there waiting. But right now, Florian Ehlefeld as well is closing down Barry West, but not enough as they head to the outfield section of this circuit. To Sheen's curve goes George Lambert. It's been dominant at the front, but it's not been decisive throughout. A few mistakes here and there in heat number 1. It will crucially be UK and Ireland who take the victory in heat number 1, but most certainly it was not decisive because DH are knocking on the door. Lambert wins, McIntyre second, Hughes will get third, but DH will take that as a big positive heading into the next race, especially with that blockade of 6 behind Matthew Webb for the next race. Hirschke and Newman together on circuit. Connery, this is close.
This is very close, and perhaps a little bit closer than we expected. Of course, this race will go the way of UK and Ireland, but this heat race number 2 is going to be, I would say, drama-filled. Maybe not as drama-filled as the oval race was, but this one's going to be super concerning for UK and Ireland right now because they have, of course, they have Matthew Webb pole position. That is one benefit, but you have an absolute train of DH cars behind him that can cause a huge issue for the UK and I drivers trying to make their way through from the back.
That's going to be very telling. Results then up on your screen. It was George Lambert who took the victory by 0.4 of a second over Jack McIntyre. Claire Hughes will finish in 3rd place. Dan Heron for DH in 4th. 5th for Harold Stadler. Mark Pickford would get 6th with Barry West 7th and Florian Ehlefeld in 8th place. Mike Rogan in 9th as Dirk Federman rounded out the top 10. Then it was Joachim Bodecker, Dennis Hirschke, Daniel Newman, Matthew Webb, then Steve Greenwood and Mark Usher. Second grid then looking to start up. It will be Matthew Webb on pole position. 1 minute to grid up. A whole blockade of DH to navigate for UK and Ireland, but they will understand better than anybody. This is a strategy game, and you can use that to your advantage here. Here we go. Lights on, heat 2. Long hold, but we're underway, and it's a fantastic start from Newman, and there's a little bit of a wiggle there from Hirschke trying to put the power down into Paddock Hill Bend around the outside. He tries as there's a mistake from Webb, who is struggling off the start on the colder tyres, and now into Druids. He's starting to get swarmed here by the slew of DH vehicles, as now just in the background Barry West makes his way past Ehlefeld at Graham Hill Bend. There's contact there between, I believe that was Pickford, trying to make his way past Ehlefeld, and now the next lot trying to go through here, Connery, as it just seems that DH have the advantage for now.
But UK and I are starting to make those inroads. We had Pickford and Barry West get past a good couple of cars on that race start, so that is a good start from the UK and Ireland club. Yes, you did surrender P1 to Daniel Neumann, but the thing is, the rest of the UK and I contingent, they are having a very good lap number 1 in D, despite that little bit of contact that we saw coming through the Graham Hill Bend as they're coming through the latter sector. Is that a slowdown penalty for Hirschke? I have to wonder. He actually was slow off of Sterling's bend. There was not a slowdown penalty. Drops him behind one of his teammates, but there we go. Barry West then down on towards the lane. Same with Stadler as he tries to get so much out of that pit entry. Same with McIntyre and a good couple of DH cars as well, deciding to get their pit stop service done early, but that I just saw out on track Greenwood going pretty slow in towards Paddock Hill Bend. That is a little bit of a concerning factor, but right now, go on, Jake.
I was just looking at stops. McIntyre's jumped a lot. So did Barry West, Heron, Arlefeld, all getting jumped. Stadler will be there for a long time. He's sped on pit road. He'll be there for an extra 15 seconds longer than he wanted to be as Heron tries to battle Barry West, but cannot find the magic formula to make the move to get himself through. Mark Pickford, though, side by side with Mike Rogan. Rogan on the inside, but around the outside with a fantastic sweep goes Mark Pickford as he picks the position apart. Federman now, Bodeka and Dennis Hirschke just in front, which will be telling Newman has not broken away though at the front of this field and will be battling hard for the majority of this race, as right now Lear Hughes starts thinking about Mike Rogan as the next bit of bait.
Yep, certainly will do so, as there's no visitors on towards the lane just yet. Although saying that, Mike Rogan and the car of Fleur Hughes have decided that now's a good time to get their stop in the box done, I guess we should call that one, as the fastest car out there on circuit right now, the number 3, Mark Usher, from stalling or just not having any power on the start. Last heat, putting in fantastic laps for this one, as the race lead will be challenged. That one's going to be Matthew Webb getting himself back to the front.
Oh, and Daniel Newman lost a lot of time, and it was a mistake on Newman's part. No contact. That was just Newman running wide out of turn number 2. Maybe forced off the road a little bit there by Matthew Webb, and that would be something that will be watched at as McIntyre comes in. But just having tyres on the grass, tyres on the circuit as well, differences in traction levels between the tyres. Newman saving the spin and keeping himself going in second position. Yes, Jack McIntyre in and out again, but a mile away, and I wonder if that was speeding on pit exit for Jack McIntyre.
It was 15-second hold in the pit box, and speeding on pit exit is so much more, you get punished so much more for speeding on pit exit than you do on pit entry here on the iRacing service, because if you speed on pit entry, you can take your 15-second penalty in that same stop. But the thing is, if you speed on pit exit, you have to come in down towards the lane once again to get that one done. So that is a huge, huge loss for UK and Ireland right now. It's UK and IP1, but it's DHP3, P2, 3 and 4. Oh, that's close.
Mark Usher, hello. Oh, little bit of contact on the exit as well with Joaquin Bodeka. Bodeka tries to send one down the inside. He can't quite get there. And now that will open the door. And thank you, says George Lambert, who takes a freebie for the troubles of Joaquin Bodeka, who tries on the outside with more contact. And they survive to tell the tale. But Lambert breaks away and will now try and get past Mark Usher. I think Usher's got a little bit of a problem as through goes George Lambert. Maybe Lambert's quicker off with Pickford when I believe one of the DH cars has Dirk Federman into the gravel and the wall, and that was very, very dangerous. All on his own, just a big clip of the curb and bang into the tyres.
It wasn't even a clip of the curb. The car was just, it just had a huge amount of snap oversteer there. That is absolutely huge. And that's going to be Federman, for all intents and purposes, out of this race. He's still out there on circuit, but he's crabbing so much. So that damage is not going to be repaired in a timely fashion. Daniel Neumann then down on the lane for his service. And this is starting to change a little bit. The tide is starting to go into the UK's favour. Before that whole thing happened, it was 101 points to DH to 92 for the UK and I, but I can see visually already on my timing screens that that is going to be swapping in a not too distant future.
112 UK and I, 81 to DH. It is swung now in UK and I's favour here on lap 5 out of 12, just before the halfway stage. But there's no guarantees just yet, because a lot of vehicles that have pitted have been DH colours. So DH have been making these early stops and they've been pulling themselves back into play. Likes of Dan Heron is ahead of Fleur Hughes. Mike Rogan battling with Barry West and Florian Arlefeld just behind that as well. These are vital battling points, stations where they can have that scrap. Dirk Federman is now finally on the lane, but he will probably be out of proceedings right now. This is going to be telling, though, these sorts of battles, Connery.
Yeah, very, very telling. UK and Ireland ahead right now, but this could all depend on what happens in these battles as George Lambert passes Mark Pickford because he decides to head his way in. Usher also deciding to hit the lane as well. So this definitely is not over yet, depending on where Pickford and Usher decide to come out. They're getting themselves stopped in their box and they'll be out of the lane in the not too distant future. Daniel Neumann on the pit straight right now. Does he get past one? He gets past none. And those two cars, Pickford and Usher, file out ahead of Neumann.
And that's going to be telling, especially with Greenwood and co. yet to pit, Joachim Bodeker as well. So this is UK&I positioning themselves quite nicely, you feel, in this situation. Crucially, Newman is ahead of Dan Heron. Heron definitely quicker in this one, but Hughes struggling. 76 to 117 now. UK and Ireland's advantage with the stops coming in, but we do expect Greenwood, Bodeker, Lambert, Hirschke and Webb all to come down and make the stops. Webb's lead 2.2 seconds at the front of this field and has actually driven a very, very accomplished race. Had to battle it out in the early stages, but since taking the lead on lap 2, he has not been challenged at all, and that has been some great driving from Matthew Webb to keep himself out in the front, especially with all this pressure of a semi-final out in battles as Hughes continues to battle with Heron and Newman.
He's doing very, very well. Heron and Newman, they swap positions, but has he done? A Martin Kroenke here has Neumann because Fleur Hughes is battling on the inside, coming through towards the line then. On to lap number 7 they will go. Fleur Hughes on the inside. Can the Welshman make it? Coming through Paddock Hill. Bent, he can squeak his way ahead of Neumann, but Neumann's come back through Druids looking for the inside, but simply not able to hold it. So Hughes has made his way through. Flashbacks to World Championship Grand Prix Series there, Jake?
Potentially there, but Fleur Hughes was fantastic on the brakes in through Druids, and that's why he was able to hold on to the position as things looked. But for Dennis Hirschke, he's now seeing George Lambert behind. That's going to be a little worrying in the mirrors. You start looking, you start wondering. Barry West trying to get past Mike Rogan, Florian Arefeld. They are 1, 2, 3 nose to tail, but now Rogan on that inside, desperately trying to hold around the outside. Barry West with a great move to get himself through, as now Ihlefeld's got to think about going through, because I think Ihlefeld feels he's quicker than Mike Rogan as Barry West starts to pull away.
If you look at the lap times, then that is going to be the case in this one, as I have a little bit of a look. It's all slow corner, slow off of what is going to be Sterling's bend for Barry West. He's going to come under challenge then from Mark Rogan in towards Jim Clark curve, but Ihlefeld manages to make the position swap on his teammate, so that could have gone so much worse there for Barry, but he manages to hold it.
He does manage to hold it, so good work there from Barry West to make the defence. Ihlefeld, though, taking advantage of that and making that driver switch. That's some very clever driving from Club DH, and they have done very well to make that happen, but still waiting on 5 pit stops still in the late stages of this one. Mark Pickford still ahead of Mark Usher, so the two Marks running it out together out on circuit, but it's lap 8 here out of 12. Still, the likes of Webb and Hirschke and Lambert are needing to make their stops. And I wonder here if Usher will come back into it. Down comes Dennis Hirschke to make the stop very early with the yellow cone as well. That will cost a few tenths, Connery.
Yep, that definitely will. Leaving some time left out there on circuit. Steve Greenwood deciding to head his way in as well. And we'll see where they file out, because there's battles further behind, especially between Barry West and Ihlefeld as well. That one could be a pretty big issue. As you see the cars streaming by on the pit lane. Federman has come down on towards the lane again. Greenwood, very long indeed on the stop. Is this a speeding penalty? It is a speeding penalty for Greenwood, so Diaz are back in.
Yeah, and I was just taking a look at Mark Usher trying to get past Hirschke at turn 2. Big lunge, door got shut, there was contact between the two. Usher keeps going, but that was brave from Mark Usher, if not to the point of Freddie Rasmussen at Sim Racing Expo levels of diving down to the inside. So for that, Dennis Hirschke survives. Was a little late to close the door, has to be said, but crucially ahead of Mark Usher, which is vital points in the DH fight. 82 to 111 as things stand, as Hirschke again under pressure from Usher, who is clearly faster.
clearly faster in this situation, as up through towards Sterling's Bend they will come. Usher having a huge amount of pace at this stage, having that issue in the first heat of not getting off the line. He's looking for some sort of redemption then to bring UK and Ireland this heat race number 2 win as well. 111 points versus 82, so Diach is starting to edge their way back in. Boudica down on towards the lane. Usher's made a mistake through Paddock Hill Bend, but he's got Pickford behind, who will actually challenge in towards Druids. I don't think that's the best of ideas, especially with the points as close as they are.
Oh, you can see this. Usher comes back at him. Stop going for the move. I need this. And look at that. Too wide to Graham Hill. Mistake from Usher. They're fighting amongst each other. They can't sort it out between each other. And look how much it's costing them in the long run here. UK and I have got the comms completely off. They don't know what's going on. We've seen pit stops come in. Webb and Lambert yet to come down in. But Dennis Hirschke given a gap. And that is bringing a chance in. It's 117 to 76, but it could be so much more if they are not careful here, Conor.
Usher's made a mistake coming up through towards Restfield, and maybe Dan Heron can get this position back, but no, he's gone too overzealous over the top of Dingledale corner. Fair Hughes now looking to fight his way back, but not able to find the position as Matthew Webb has decided to head his way in. The D-licensed driver with 1,378 iRating, well, was at the top 3 of this race, decides to head his way in and decides to come out in P number 2 as well. Fantastic run for Matthew Webb in this one. Exactly what UK and Ireland needs. They're ahead right now, but it's still a case of there are so many battles on track that could go either way, as Webb, he's come out just ahead of Hirschke here.
And Hirschke will want to make that move. 1,378 iRating. I can say this for a fact. I have more iRating than that. That's an impressive achievement for Matthew Webb and what he's been able to do so far in this one. Only George Lambert now needs to come in and make the stop. It's lap 11 of 12, and Lambert is desperately going to try and make the jump on Webb and Hirschke here. So I imagine that Webb is going to be the cork in the bottle, as things were, as now the white flag will come out prematurely here with 1 to go. Into the pits comes George Lambert looking for his box in, stop, out again, and I think he'll definitely get the jump over Matthew Webb to the delight of UK and Ireland, and away he goes comprehensively in the lead. Such was the slowness of Matthew Webb's stop. Hirschke currently in 3rd, Pickford 4th, Usher 5th. Right now, there's not much you can do if you are Club Diach. You are hoping for mistakes, as now there is going to be a change of position as Newman drops behind Joachim Boudica right now, but there's still nothing you can do to influence the front of the field where all the money points are being fought. It's 4 in the top 5 for UK and Ireland right now, as Hirschke can't get anywhere near Matthew Webb in the final stages of this race, as Mark Pickford currently just sitting in the wings. Fleur Hughes has just sat behind Dan Heron all race long and may not even decide he wants to make the move. May put one more on Diach, thinking about the inside, not having it there. Dan Heron was unperturbed with that move at that big right-hander at Hawthorns, but still, Hirschke with nowhere to go in terms of this one, but he is holding off Pickford behind. But for George Lambert, he will spearhead UK and Ireland to the final once again. Twice in one night, they beat the club of Diach, because George Lambert will pick them the victory. Webb with a sensational second. Hirschke take no credit away. Great driving from the Diach driver into 3rd position. Pickford in 4th, 5th for Mark Usher, but it is very simply put, not enough at the top end for Club Diach, and as such, UK and I, Connery, are headed to the final for the 2nd time tonight.
Yeah, can they do anything in that grand final, though? That will be the question. Who will join them in the grand final? Is for the roadside, is it going to be Finland? Is it going to be Canada? I think if you're a betting man, you probably would just, say very obviously Finland, but things have been upset before. But in terms of this one, it's still UK and Ireland. It's 117 to 76. They'll go through.
They certainly will, and here is the final results. George Lambert wins by 4.3 seconds over Matthew Webb. Dennis Hirschke will finish this one in third position. Mark Pickford goes in fourth with Mark Usher in fifth. Dan Heron will finish this one sixth with Claire Hughes in seventh place. Joachim Bodeker gets eighth with Daniel Newman ninth, and Barry West rounding out the top 10. Following on from that, Florian Eilefeld, Harold Stadler, Mike Rogan, Stephen Greenwood, Jack McIntyre, who had a penalty, and Dirk Federman 8 laps down after his big incident. But here on the iRacing Esports Network, presented by RaceSpot TV, we're going to step aside here as we get ourselves ready for action that will be coming up in the second of the semi-finals. It's Canada versus Finland. And if you're Alexia Loma just an hour ago, you said it's pretty easy. Time to put your money where your mouth is, Finland, because it's semi-final 2 next.
to the front bumper, and he hits him again now. Ray Alfala into the outside wall.
He's going to pass nearly 3 cars down that front straightaway, and he's going to get them all done with. What amazing.
Race lead to the inside goes Logan Cloudman is going to touch in. Pit press. What a save.
Look to the outside as Kroenke goes off. De Jong into second place.
Going for the switchback. Oh, pinpoint driving.
It's howling down to the inside.
Trying this contact though.
Slide left of the racetrack. Chris Venner drives it back down underneath, and he takes that second spot right back. Joker goes to Garrett Lowe.
Garrett Lowe should take victory with all that contact.
He's going to try and make the move around the outside the parabolica. That's not going to work, but he's going to try and get the cutback here. Get the run out the parabolica. That's beautifully done there. Makashube, there's a little bit of door banging as well.
Not the plainest of sailing through races 1 and 2 for UK and Ireland, but they have made back-to-back finals. The question is, can Finland join them? If you look at practice, my goodness, it looks like they can, as things look right now. We are 5 minutes away from qualifying here at Brands Hatch for the second race, or the second semi-final here as Finland take on Canada once again here on the iRacing Esports Network. Jake Sperry, Connery Maddock, Connery. It was a tough challenge, I thought, for UK and Ireland, but they managed to navigate through that against Club Diat. But now, I think Finland want to showcase how good they've been, and they do love the Lotus 79, their car pick.
Very much their car pick, and as I already mentioned in the little YouTube chat that we have going on here, Finland's currently P number 1 through P number 8. Every single one of their drivers getting the highest position possible. I don't want to say anything about this race just yet, but I think you might want to go for a nap until the grand final is here, if I'm being completely honest.
Oh, well, some very harsh words, but someone who will be watching this very, very closely is someone who's going to join us in interview right now. Paul Thurston, club captain for UK and Ireland. Paul, a pleasure to have you in the commentary booth, but you have to look at this semi-final at the moment, and you see Finland 1 through 8 and go, yeah, that's a really strong lineup.
Yeah. Can Finland put out anything but a strong lineup?
Well, many can say no, they can't at this stage, but a lot of animosity after what happened in the Oval final. Do you feel like that's going to fuel maybe some flames for the road finals for you guys? Or do you feel like in this situation, you are looking to try and put that to bed, put it behind you, and have a fresh attack and hopefully trying to establish some form of revenge?
No animosity from the road final on the road, from the oval final on the road team at all. I mean, there's a different set of people completely. The road and oval teams this year we've run fairly separately. Jonathan Rex did a superb job with the oval team. It's no secret we've struggled to get people out on the oval this year. We actually got a really good side out there. Came down to a few marginal calls in the end. There's nothing you can do about it. I mean, I think the Finns had the edge of us anyway. I mean, well done to Finland, they won it. We had live stewards there. Yes, we protested a few things, but the live stewards checked and the live stewards adjudged that, they gave one penalty to a 30-second stop-go to one of the Finnish drivers. But other than that, they adjudged it. So, the referee said it was fine, so it was fine. The road team, we have got a strong road team out. They've driven well all through the competition. They're quite a tight little unit, and we've got speed right down the field. So I think we've got a chance. Yes, Finland are favourites. Finland are always favourites, especially with their road team. They are stupidly quick. But with this format, really anything can happen. Actually, we'll give it a go, but there's absolutely no animosity from the point of view of we're not going to go and take them all out in the first corner.
Well, of course not. There'll be penalties in play. That much is blatantly obvious. But, Paul, in terms of the UK and Ireland effort, you've put a lot of time and resources in. You've managed to delegate over to other people. Do you feel like the World Cup is moving in a positive direction? Do you see it getting back to the same sort of level that it was, say, in terms of prestige in the 2010-2011 era?
I'd like it to. I'd really love it to. I mean, I love the World Cup. I've made no secret of this over the years. I've taken part in or helped with every single World Cup since the start. And sometimes there's only a couple of us. But the participation this year has been really disappointing. I mean, if you look at the UK and I, we've got, 3,000 members. I mean, how many are active? Maybe half. We had, 19 people qualify for the road. That's disappointing, especially when it's such a good car. And we're playing at home with a home car. So that's disappointing. But there's a lot of apathy or cynicism about it. But I do think if people are watching these, and I really hope people are watching these, and I'm shouting it out to the club, watch these races. This format is superb. This format is brilliant for streaming. It's brilliant for RaceSpot, who again are doing a superb job, I must add. And it's great. These one-shot things. It's not pure racing in many ways. I know that the Finns would like this to be like sort of a complete elite tournament with only the top people in it, but you're not going to get the top people into it unless people are watching it, unless there's some you've got a few more people. I think this is the way it needs to go, and I think if we build on the format and the exciting races that we've had this year, and I really hope it's an exciting road final. I really hope it's sort of nip and tuck and close. Whoever wins, as long as it's UK and I. But then we can really just pull that, sort of drag it forward and maybe get more people next year.
Well, hopefully we will soon see that to be the case. Paul Thurston joining us then, Club UK and Ireland captain. Qualifying is underway at Brands Hatch for the second semi-final, of the evening. It has been a long time. We've been going since about 4 o'clock in the afternoon. It is now 8 o'clock, just gone 10 past the hour right now, UK time. But Connery, this is going to be a very tough qualifying for the Canadians. They will need to find something. In practice, they were 2/10 off the slowest driver, Joni Backman. But let's be honest here with the drivers that Finland have brought up into play. You've got the likes of Rico Alatalo, who is Glacier Racing. You've got the likes of Inertia, who are coming in with the likes of Puhaka and also Linluoto. and you've got likes of Black Star Racing with Ericsson and Heikkinen. This is arguably the top Finnish teams in the world coming in and making some big efforts to make this team work. The issue that comes along with that is, I don't think there is a single other club out there that has as much drive to do that as Glacier, as Black Star Racing, and as, you know, Inertia Sim Racing as well.
Yeah, they're a tight group of folks in that Finnish club, and you know, there's no animosity between them. They all get along pretty well with each other, and they're able to turn out for these events because it is a point of pride for them. They've won this championship 5 times again, as I said before, looking for their 6th time, and it's really something that every single person in the Finnish club can get behind, which is why you see so many of these pro drivers, so many of these just so skilled individuals turn up for their club because they want to win for their country, and it's a nationalistic thing.
We're on board with the number 46 machine, Joni Backman, at the moment, heading in towards this Hawthorne corner. It's fantastic 90-degree right-hander which opens and is lightningly fast. Now into Westfield Bend and getting a little wiggle there through Westfield, getting the power back down. Currently fastest time is scored by Ricky Alatalo in the 1:17.136 timed number 3 machine. As now through Stirling's comes Joni Backman with one more corner to Jim Clark curve to go. Very short lap here at Brands Hatch, so 12 laps goes in the blink of an eye. Backman to the line. Brandon Hawking goes quickest, 1:13.8, followed by Scott Vallette, but Joni Backman does his first time, and it won't count though, and that's going to be very telling here because there's a lot of pressure on those who don't get the lap times in. Ron Gale gets his time, Newlander up to 2nd.
Exactly, some decent times then coming in for the Canadian squad, so things may not be done before even the race has started here, but let's just see where the rest of the Finnish contingent managed to get their first lap times on the board. There we go, now it starts. Joni Heikkinen pole position provisionally at the moment with Riku Alatalo in 2nd place. Tapani Lenileto then P number 3, and we're still waiting for Pohaka, we're still waiting for Unhola, we're waiting for Ericsson, Backman, and you know, just so many good names that can get themselves up inside that top 5. But right now, we've had Backman actually have his lap being cancelled, but the thing is, he's coming through the middle sector right now, so he can get another crack at getting a time that'll propel him further up the field. We've got Ossian Pohaka then up into P number 5, but Joni Backman then through Clark Kirby will go. Hopefully this time it won't be a lap that won't be counted. Drive to the line then for the Finnish team captain, and he will go for 1:13.6. Good enough for P number 3.
Yeah, very good time from Joni Backman. Tommy Mikael Unhola in the number 7 has been a classic specialist in the likes of the Lotus 49 and the 79, so certainly in very familiar territory when it comes to this very much any old iron sort of car. Final corner comes along, and Tommy Unhola will look in his 7 for a very nice time, and on his first lap he's able to manufacture a 1:14.3, middle of the pack. Not bad for the opening goings, but you talk about how strong this team is on, just talk about some of the regulars of the Lotus 79 who aren't racing here today for Finland, Connor. It's Riku Alatalo breaks the 1:13 barrier just like that. You talk about the likes of Juha Noralampe and Kaeru Akola that they could put into that side. They don't have them in their side, but that shows you that there has been a lot of meticulous thought that have gone into this car pick for Finland, and that their choice really is reaping a lot of results.
Exactly, Scott Velez up into P number 7 for Canada. That's a little victory for them, but for Finland, when you have such a vast array of drivers that are all incredibly quick to choose from, it's a luxury for the team captain right now, because it doesn't matter if one of your fastest drivers can't make it. You've got another pretty much equally fast driver that you can just put into the team as well. It's a very, very fantastic position to be in. And it really does tell in how many championships that they have. I remember on the iRacing forums once, I think there was someone that shared the average iRacing distributions for each one of the clubs, and Finland was so far ahead with their average iRacing across the entire club. It was just crazy, but that is a completely different topic, but in qualifying, they're dominating P1 through 6, Brandon Hawking, first Canadian in P7.
That's very, very telling. But Connery, didn't you make the joke a couple of years ago that you could go into any Finnish supermarket and you can order a sim racer?
Yeah, it was something along those lines. It's you know, it's a country with absolutely huge history in terms of racing. It's very much ingrained into their culture, and you know, it comes across into the sim racing side of things as well as the real life racing side. So no wonder that they're strong.
No wonder indeed. Kim Eriksson comes across the line in 79, goes just behind Tommy Michael and Hola, 1:14.151. His lap time. Randy Ho across the line, and he does 1:17.1, which is not quick by any standards, but he is out of laps, so that's all that Randy is able to manage. Ron Gale across the line cannot improve on his times, as Tapani Liluoto will try and make his push for Finland over to the line. 1:13.6 is best, up to a 1:13.3, and moves himself up into third position. Very, very important in terms of his lap times. No improvements then for Jean-Francois Matter, who comes in with a 1:14.369. That's just ahead of the other Jean-Francois in the field, Conor, and that's Jean-Francois Arsenault.
Yeah, both the Jean-Francois currently lining up in P number 11 and P number 12 as Ossian Puaka gets himself back up into P number 3 on his final timed lap. I'm just looking through to see who has yet to set their final laps. We have Jean-Francois Matter, who's actually aborted his lap. We've got Claude Belval that could be a factor in this one. He's heading his way through that middle sector then, through the right-hander, and Belval currently qualified in P number 14. What can you do to improve on his qualifying time? He needs to improve on a 1:15.1, needs to get a below a 1:15 flat if he's going to improve position. Out of Sterling's Bend he will come, run towards the Clark curve, the very, very medium speed right-hander as they come across up onto the grid, then up towards that start-finish line. Belval, he gets a 1:14.7. That is a very good lap, but only good enough to gain that one position.
One position indeed. So Kim Eriksson still on his final lap, and nobody else then here in this stage for the number 79 car. Through Sterling a little bit early there on the turn-in, had to have a slight correction to avoid the grass on the inside. His vehicle's very, very sensitive to any changes in terms of traction, so they've got to be careful about that. Eriksson then will run to the line, 4/10 to find another position. He finds time but not position with a 1:13 devil, 1:13.666 in terms of his time. Everyone done though. Grid shall be as follows. Riku Alatalo, 1:12.949, star of the field in the number 3, with Joni Heikkinen in second position. Ossian Puaka and Tapani Liluoto third and fourth. Joni Backman will start from 5th with Kim Eriksson 6th. It's 7th for JJ Nylander, which is a Finland 1-7, with Brandon Hawking first of the Canadians in 8th. Scott Valeth in 9th, with Tommy Michael and Hola rounding out the top 10. Jean-Francois Matter in 20th? Good lord, I'm very, very tired. In 11th with Jean-Francois Arsenault. In 12th, Claude Belval. 13th, Ron Gale. 14th, Derek Roeveld in 15th position. And Randy Ho will round out 16. It seems at the moment that this first heat is looking Finland, Finland, and more Finland. But as we all know, it may not be Finland if something would happen. We've talked about Italy's implosion. We very nearly had a 2.0 with Mark Usher. Something very similar could happen come this race. But you have to feel right now that Finland are in control of their own destiny against the Canadians. And there's not much more that you can say, but wow, what a good qualifying effort that the Finns have had. They have put down the gauntlet once again to say we can go out there and we can make something happen, and there's not much more that many others can argue against that. Difficult run in towards turn number 1. Of course, it's banked all the way over there, so you'd feel that those on that inside line will have that advantage in the fact that they will not have to worry too much about said banking compared to those on the outside. So those drivers in the odd numbered positions, Alatalo, Puhaka, Bachmann, should have it a little easier heading to 1, but on the outside line is preferred if you want to make that run through and carry as much momentum as possible. So maybe the likes of Heikkinen, Lilluauto and Ericsson could get that little bit of a help with 2 minutes to grid up or the start from the dreaded place known as Pit Road. 14 invert, the best of 3 series. We have yet to see it go down to a decider here in the World Cup in this day today. But now it's a case of can it happen? Engine notes rise. Heat 1 underway as it's a great start from Alatalo as they all wiggle and try and work the track for traction. Right now, straight into play. Newlander does well in the background as Brandon Hawkin has not much to do. And Hola tries to go around the outside of Scott Valeth, and he will comfortably manage to do so on the exit. So Finland are making life even easier for themselves at the moment through the right contact round. Hawkin getting involved, and that, I believe, was Newlander getting a bit of a touch. It was, and that bumps him to the back.
Yeah, exactly. On the inside of Graham Hill Bend was Brandon Hawkin. He wasn't left a lot of space there by Newlander, I have to say. I think that's more of a racing instant than anything, but it does mean that we've had Newlander dropped all the way to the back of the pack. Brandon Hawkin is still ahead of him, though, but we don't know what the damage situation is between those 2 cars. But still, right now, Finland P1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And, you know, the early advantage, the early sort of look that Canada had didn't pay off because of that incident. And I think right now, Finland, they've got it done. Oh, Randy Hugh, the number 50, gets turned by Newlander.
Oh, and well, when one thing happens, the next one surely does follow. Randy was a little bit slow coming out of Westfield Bend, lost 1 position. I think Newlander was really surprised at how slow Randy Ho was, as that means that he spun around. I'm not sure that Newlander knew exactly what to do. He tried to check up. Hawkins down on the lane, as is going to be Roeleveld, as Randy Ho decides he's going to stay out with the damage that he's accrued. And Hola decides to come down in, as did Lilluauto. Newlander decided to stay out. So it's very interesting, these early stages. Don't do anything silly, Finland, and heat number 1 will certainly be yours. Lap 2 of 12 already here at this track of Brands Hatch. 3.7 kilometers, and it feels so much less than that in these high-powered vehicles, Connery.
Yep, it does. We're getting towards those 1 minute 12 lap times. Alatalo, though, wide coming up towards Sterling's Bend, gives over the race lead to Heikkinen. And Finland, you've got such a comfortable lead right now. You don't want to have these scary moments where you can have cars drop out of the race. You just need to get your heads down, get yourself back out there, just stay on the racing surface, and you've pretty much got this one.
Is there an air of complacency around Finland right now in this semi-final, Connery?
Not yet. We'll see later on.
We will see later on, indeed we shall. Scott Valeth, though, currently in 5th position at the moment. You got Jean-Francois Mata in 6th, Belval 7th, Gale in 8th, all of which you have not come down in to make their stop. Kim Ericsson out and away. Jean-Francois Arsenault gets jumped by Tommy Unhola as he gets himself straight by, and that's 1 more position he can add into the bank as Finland looks to bolster their advantage at this point in time. As things stand here, Connery, it looks pretty much like make the stop early, just get out of traffic and things will be okay. 1 vehicle will not go any further here in this one. That's Derek Roeleveld, who's had to come in for a 2nd stop.
Yeah, exactly. He'll get himself off the lane, albeit very, very, very far indeed off of the next car down the road. That's going to be about, well, I'd say it's about 26, 27 seconds that he's at a disadvantage right now. So it's going to be a tough day for Roeleveld in this first heat. But right now, as the lap times will come through, that's going to be Joni Heikkinen setting the pace at the front of the field, 1:13.4, and that is very, very telling because that is faster as a race lap than some of the Canadians did in quali.
Well, Jean-Francois Arsenault had a big moment at Stirling's Bend and has done so well to actually save the vehicle. Doesn't mean much in the long term of things, but Jean-Francois Arsenault with a fantastic save, Connery, and that's some very, very good car control to keep the vehicle pointing straight.
Again, it's going to be the little victories for Canada, I think, in this one. It's obvious that they do not have the pace to challenge Finland. If they're going to get through here, it's going to be all down to Finland making mistakes, and they haven't done so in huge fashion over this playoff. So they've had little mistakes here and there, but nothing that has jeopardized their race.
No, nothing at all. Your top three, Joni Heikkinen, Riku Alatalo and Ossian Puhaka. Your top three as things look. No takers from your top three or your top four onto pit road at the end of lap number 4. Scott Valeth deciding that it's time to stay out, but Jean-Francois Matte decides he wants to come down in into number 8 incredibly early when it comes to that pit marker as well. And that's been telling, Connery. Everyone has been pedestrian trying to get onto that lane. It is a deceptively long cone, or a long time into the pit road before you hit the yellow marker cones.
Exactly. A lot of the drivers, as I've mentioned before in the previous fixture that we had here, leaving a lot of time on track in terms of getting themselves onto pit lane. You want to be braking as late as possible and hitting those yellow cones just as you dip below the pit lane speed limit. That is the best way to go about things, but obviously some of these drivers haven't really gotten used to how that pit lane goes. But we have a battle out here on track. For P number 7, well, involving the 57 and the 303. This is Nylander trying to make his way all the way back up through the field. He has Ron Gale ahead of him right now, and this is going to be a tough one for Gale to defend.
It will be. Ron Gale sounding like an 80s weathercaster at the moment, but Ron Gale certainly is now trying to brace himself against the sweeping and devastating winds that are being blown about by this Finland side as Nylander decides, okay, time to come down onto the lane. I'm getting held up a little bit here. He is, of course, been involved in the lap 1 clashes, so he will have to come down, make that stop, get back out and going again. But this will only allow Tapani Linaloto and Kim Eriksson the chance now to start thinking about making that move and getting past Ron Gale. There's not much you can do, but I think that the gale may turn into a light breeze. Nylander comes out, crucially just behind Hawking and Matter.
Are you quite done?
No.
Are you done? I feel like I'm commenting with Rachel Whitefoot right now with how many puns are being made, but moving on from that one, I'm sure there'll be much, much more in the next couple of races. Tapani Linulator then getting past Ron Gale here, manages to make his way by down that inside and make short work of it. Kim Eriksson is going to be the next one in line, the next one to try and get past the driver with the honorific name, I guess, but right now he's going to have a little bit of an issue getting himself through the right, but through Stirling's he's going to be okay. But Kim Eriksson definitely has the overall pace 2 seconds faster on that last lap. This will be short work.
It could be short work, though. You never know when it comes to this track. It could be an almighty hold-up, but it won't be much longer. Here comes Eriksson down to the inside, and this is going to be pretty simple as a double take has to be done by Ron Gale, as he could not place himself in the right position to hold off Eriksson. He used all of the road to try and make things happen. Claude Belval came down onto the lane as Nylander has actually dropped a lot of time on that lap, has struggled. I wonder if he's had an incident somewhere out on track. He was right with those drivers just in front, and those drivers being Hawking and Amata, but has really dramatically dropped back from them over the course of that lap, trying to get back up to speed. So maybe Nylander just not having as much fun as what was earlier.
Yeah, that car is looking pretty poorly now. A 1:23.9 at last time by. That's about Oof, that is almost exactly 10 seconds off the pace right now for Nylander. So that is not the option that they'll be going with. That is as a result of the damage that he sustained on that first lap. And you could argue he might just be a danger out there on circuit right now with how slow that he's been running. But the thing is, Ron Gale then down onto the lane for the number 57 Club Canada car. And he is going to be all very lonely on that lane.
Oh, he is incredibly lonely. Nobody there to help Ron Gale. Very much trying to get out and away once more, and will come out pretty much behind everybody else. So behind Belval, behind Mata, behind Hawkin and Arsenault. So Ron Gale pretty much at the rear of this train, shall we say. But still yet to come down onto the lane. Heikkinen, Alatalo, Puhaka, Bachmann and Valeth, your top 5, still yet to make a stop. And it seems very, very simple at this stage for Finland, because when Valeth does decide to make that stop, it may just promote a 1-7 dominance at the front of the field. And that is probably about as good as they could possibly hope for coming out of lap number 1.
Yeah, probably. Ossian Perker down the lane, comes back out. Scott Valeth up into P number 4, but he hasn't decided to get himself service yet, as we kind of have to start talking about, at this stage, if you're Club Canada, if you're the Club Canada captain or any of these drivers out there on circuit, you have to be thinking, what's the win condition now? Because obviously we can't do it in terms of overall pace. That is flat out a fact. How do you win this on your own terms nowadays?
It would have to involve a complete bypassing of the rules, in my view, but there's not much more you can argue with. When Finland are this good, it's by any means necessary. I think the win will have to be otherwise, and even if you do, the club captains of Finland will be right on top of everything, going, that's a penalty, that's a penalty, that's a penalty, understanding everything and trying to put everything in the rules to say, this is the letter of the law, you will play by it at every given point in time. I think this is a Finland team and a dynasty that you don't see. This Derek Roeleveld, I believe, is about to go 1 lap down thanks to Joni Heikkinen. And whenever you go 1 lap down in 12 laps, or in 10 laps even, in this case to Joni Heikkinen, that's a pretty telling disadvantage that you see for Derek Roeleveld. And I'm not sure there is anybody in that Club Finland side who has under maybe 4,000 iRacing.
Yeah, I'm just actually going to confirm this one, because that is a very, very interesting point. Because 3,000, we've got Unhola that has 3,200, and that is going to be the lowest on that entire Finland squad. The lowest iRacing is 3,200, and the good chunk of these guys are in the 6,000s, 7,000s. So there are no other words for how strong.
Incredibly strong. That's all it is. Heikkinen will be due down in this time or the next. Same for Alatalo, Bachmann and Valeth, who have all been having some pretty good runs of things so far, but staying out then goes Heikkinen. In comes Alatalo to make his stop. Ricky Atulu, his nickname sometimes coined, as in comes Joni Bachmann as well to come and make the stop. Does Scott Valeth decide to dive down onto the lane? He does. So only Heikkinen has decided to stay out the longest of anybody so far in this one. Out and away goes Bachmann, but crucially Alatalo ahead of Puhaka, but Bachmann will come out just behind Kim Eriksson. It doesn't mean too much, but there should be maybe a little bit of pride for the Finland side.
Just a little bit. Unola, yep, out ahead of Scott Valeth. It's P1 through 7 for Finland. Not quite the clean sweep with 2 laps to go because of Nylander's earlier incident, but I wouldn't be surprised if Nylander hadn't had that moment. Then we would be seeing a P1 through 8 for Finland in this first heat. Just absolutely fantastic stuff. And I know exactly what Nylander is doing right now, because he's in P14, and you know what that means for the second heat.
It means pole position. It means life is just a little bit easier for JJ Nylander. Into the pits comes Joni Heikkinen then to make his stop. He is just behind Randy Ho, who will look to come in and make his pit stop then. His 1 and only 2. Heikkinen should come back out in the race lead. It should be pretty plain sailing. Hits the box in and out again and gets ahead of Randy Ho in the stop as well, just to compile a little bit of misery for this Canadian side. It has been a butchery so far in the opening heat, and the second heat, well, it will have to be a little bit more salvaged than this for Club Canada, because they are being taken to a clinic and they have been thoroughly examined by this Finland side. Through the left-hander of turn 4 at Surtees goes Joni Heikkinen, back in the lead once again with Alatalo behind, desperately looking at Heikkinen going, I could go and make this happen, but no. It seems that this has been pretty simple, and I am nowhere near trying to make the move that I need to make things happen. For Heikkinen though, just 2 corners remain now. Little wiggle coming through the Sheen curve. Left-hander comes along of Sterling's. No, Joni, go careful. There's the moment on the curb, and he has a dramatic ending to an undramatic race. It is Finland just about 1 through 7. But Joni Heikkinen, go incredibly careful for the future, because that one almost ended in a little bit of tears.
Imagine if he did that in the grand final and the points difference would mean that Finland would actually not win it. That would just be the weirdest situation ever. But the thing is, this race is done. It's over and done with. We've got the rest of the runners coming across the line. Scott Belleth basically winning, question mark, for Canada, even though finishing P number 8, so he's top of the Canadians. But right now, it's going to be on this second race. It's on the Heat 2 again, and how did Finland avoid this huge block of Canadians right at the front of the field? That's going to be an issue, but like we saw in the ovals, the usual strategy to deal with that is actually just to come down early and just get the jump and the stop.
Exactly. So classified results, let's get them up on your screen right now. Domination in heat number 1 as Joni Heikkinen makes it a dramatic race victory by 2 seconds in the end over Riku Alatalo. Asian Puhaka finishes this one off in third. I think there's a penalty, maybe a slowdown that has just accrued, or I'm maybe just looking at something completely differently wrong as things refresh up on my screen. Actually, no, this is very telling. So Alatalo will be given the race victory with Puhaka second and Little Oto third. Eriksson fourth, Backman fifth, and Hola in sixth. It will drop a certain Mr. Heikkinen back to 13th position, a penalty that was not served by the time he got over to the line. So that's very, very telling. So Valeth finishes 7th, Arsno in 8th, Hawke in 9th, Matter 10th. Then Belval, Gale, Heikkinen, Nylander, Rolleveld, and then Ho rounds out 16, which means it is a front 2 lockout for Finland at the front of the grid. So worries a little bit less. Engine notes rise. Race number 2 underway, as it's a great start from Nylander at the front. Heikkinen in second is going to be challenged by Ron Gale into 1, but instantly thwarted by the way that he has been run, as now the whole Blue Brigade starts thinking about how to get past the red and white of the Canadians. And well, 2 have already been dealt with thanks to them being 15th and 16th. But now it's a case of don't trip up over each other, Canada, and they're almost doing so at the moment. Hawkins makes his way past Ron Gale. Oh, they're all over the place here. 1 goes off, 2 goes off, and there's a spin as well. There's one contact. Canada's going all over the place. It's disaster.
Oh, what has happened? The first I saw of it was Brandon Hawking have major issues. Did he have contact with Ron Gale? I have to wonder that knocked his tracking out. But coming up towards Surtees to spin in the middle of the track, Matter has to go on towards the grass. And then it's just a huge amount of carnage behind, collecting a good couple of fins, but I don't think it's enough that's going to matter.
Oh, dear. The Maple Leafs falling dramatically like it's fall. And just like that, there is a lot of trouble in paradise at this stage. Well, right now, it's a case of the most hellish semi-final you could ever see for Canada as Rolleveld decides to come down onto the lane. After 1 lap's worth of action, Heikkinen leads this one. Second is Nylander. Ron Gale is in third, but now Backman in fourth, Arzano in fifth, and Hola sixth, Velez seventh, Ericsson in eighth, Alatano Linluoto round out the top 10. So Hawkin out. Puhaka's decided to make his stop. Rolaveld will come out ahead of Puhaka, who was involved in that opening incident. It wasn't the case of Finland were fully unscathed from that one, but it was a case of everyone just went 6th and 7th, and Canada just completely fell apart.
They did. There's no other word for it. There's no other phrase that you can use to describe that situation. Joni Backman makes up a position for Finland over Ron Gale, so he'll get himself up into P number 3. And if you're wondering why Joni Heikkinen is currently winning this race after theoretically, or at least should have, started near enough the back in this race, it's because he got a penalty. He did not serve in heat number 1, so that dropped him back from the race win to P number 13, allowed him to get a front row start, and now he's leading the race once again.
He is once again, and the gap is extending at the front 2.1 seconds as things stand. So this one pretty telling at the moment. Tommy and Hola try and get past Jean-Francois Arzano. This one is for 5th position, and they are both encroaching on Ron Gale. And well, Canada, don't do a positive sim racing and take your own teammates out. Big suggestion.
That's a long time ago now.
Going through a long time ago, being about, yeah, but you still can't afford to do something like that. On the brakes, left-hander at turn number 4, and it seems like the train of Gale starts encroaching because there's Kim Eriksson on the rear.
Exactly, and you've got Tommy Unhola as well, looking for the position over Gale, and Gale, while he was trying to let his teammate by, also inadvertently lets the 2 Finnish drivers by here through the right-hander. Tulu has managed to make his way through, although Gale's going to fight this one back through Dingle Dell, but not able to do so, just flat out does not have the pace. Here comes Kim Eriksson as well through, perhaps up towards, not Surtees, excuse me, that's Sterling's corner, but still the same is going to be the case, that Finland is miles and miles ahead of Canada in terms of the pace. Instead, Finland will decide to head their way and get that stop out of the way.
Yeah, as Alatalo it was who decided to come down on the lane and make said stop, so he will try and get himself back out and racing again. He comes out of pit road in relatively fresh air. He'll come out ahead of Scott Velez by a comfortable margin and will look to continue on his merry way. But right now it seems that it is a different race, same old story, Connery.
Same old story indeed. Finland's definitely leading in terms of the points, even though it is a little bit closer this time around. It's still not looking great for Canada, and I don't think they really expected much coming into this one, because as soon as you see the draw and you see, oh wait, we have Finland in the semi-finals, that's just a situation that we'll have to deal with, and we're probably not going to be looking for much. But it's still a tough one to take on the chin here for Canada. You know, you've competed so well coming through the other earlier stages of the World Cup, getting yourself to the semi-finals, and then you've been outdone by the 5-time champions. I'd say, yes, in one way that's hard to take, but the thing is, you know, just being beaten by Finland across the entire tournament, that is still a win in my books.
How do you address then the golfing class between these two different teams?
How do you address them? It's just a case of the clubs. I don't know whether it's a club issue or some other esoteric issue that means that the top drivers that we have here on the iRacing circuit are not getting themselves involved in this series, whether that be due to other commitments, whether it be due to they're just not interested or there's nothing in it for them. That's something that the other clubs are really struggling with. Can you imagine a UK team, for example, with the likes of people like Graham Carroll? You've got Alex Simpson in there, you've got Sebastian Job maybe that can turn up as well. That would be an infinitely stronger team for the UK, and you know, even for Canada as well. Like, where is the likes of Alex Bergeron, for example, who we know who can be quick, very quick indeed, on this roadside? So that is the issue that most of the other clubs, apart from Finland, are having. They can't get their pro drivers out there.
Bergeron, Levesque, Shartner, Jean-Francois Godin even, you could say. there are drivers there in Canada. It's not as if Canada doesn't have a single driver to hold a candle to a win. They have kept drivers that can hold a candle to the win. They just don't have anything that can stand up to what I'd even call a second team, you could argue, of this Finland side. Because think about the Finland drivers who aren't in this team. Martti Pietellä, you could put in that mix. Gregor Hutu, of all people. Tommy Haka. You look at the likes of Olli Pakala, and you keep going down the list. This is as simple as even the B teams, you could say, of Finland can take everybody on and absolutely decimate. So when you have such a pool of talent, I wouldn't even be surprised if in 3 years' time, Finland A and Finland B will be in the finals.
I mean, you could argue, looking at Diac, they could pull out a very similar team to Finland. You've got the likes of Martin Kroenke, you've got Maximilian Benecke, and they're pretty much the entire rest of your racing team. If you get those guys out there, then we could see perhaps a DH Finland final instead of a Finland UK final. Looking at right now, I'm just getting ahead of myself a little bit, but I'm just being realistic in this situation. But it's something that kind of has to be solved for the health of the series, but I'm not sure what the solution is. Maybe it's just a case of iRacing taking back the organization and then saying, okay, we'll stick a WCS amount of money on this, for example. Maybe that'll be the way.
Maybe that could be the way, but sometimes you have to think about things. Zalatalo is ahead of Jean-Francois Arsenault, who is actually doing a great job of just keeping himself relevant in this one. Tommy Anhola will be next up. Randy Ho, for example, though, he's going to be in trouble because here's Kim Eriksson at Druid's corner, and Randy seems a little bit out of his depth at the moment. Eriksson through turn 3, much more neat and tidy though was Ho, shall we say, but still Eriksson was pushing every single margin. But you can see how patient Kim Eriksson is, just waiting for the right places to push and attack. Better run off the exit, thank you very much, to the outside. It's the more dangerous move, but he'll get it done before he even reaches the braking point.
Yeah, very much so. Looks like, it still is complete and utter dominance from Finland in this race. Not as much as they saw in the previous race, thanks to that situation, shall we say, coming up in towards Surtees' corner for the first time. But seems like all the battles have spread themselves out right now. We're still waiting for Heikkinen, Nylander, Backman. We're waiting for Matter as well to head his way in. Same with Arsenault as well. So there's still pit stops to go on here. We've got eight laps complete here, coming up on towards lap number 9, and it's a rout. That's the only other way. Like, what else are we supposed to talk about? Like, apart from, okay, it's a rout, we might as well just have a RaceSpot TV podcast.
Very, very true. 2 vehicles are out of this event. One is Brandon Hawke and the other is Ossian Puhaka. That was in the early stages. Ron Gale is classified as being 1 lap down, and Derek Roeleveld is very soon going to be encroached on by Joni Heikkinen, who's just done a 1:13 flat, just to prove how quick he can be around here. He took 1.5 seconds out of JJ Nylander, and that, even in finish terms, is difficult to do. Joni Backman down in on the lane. He makes his stop. He will come back out and away again. Will he come out ahead, though, of Jean-Francois Matter? Answer to that one is yes. Yes, just about.
Derek Roeleveld, black flag, stop and hold, 30-second penalty for the Canadian. That is very, very unfortunate. I think this one is going to be related to the first lap incident, I believe. So that is just going to be the situation that Roeleveld has to deal with. It's not been a fantastic 2 races for him, and he has to come down on the lane once again. This time to get a penalty serve that has been dished out by the stewards. He decides to head his way in, very slow on pit entry. I can empathize with this. He even pulls off, and maybe he's going to even take a tow here. Yeah, he's retired.
Yeah, no, you understand that it's sometimes when you're defeated, there is an easy way out, and I don't blame him for taking that one and taking a tow, an easy option onto pit road. Here's Ricky Atulu, though, trying to get past Jean-Francois Matter. This one is for 4th position out on the road, if my maths is correct. So Jean-Francois having every reason to defend this one. Pride at stake, but Ricky Atulu, some say that he plays more CSGO than he does iRacing, but right now around the outside, he tries to make the move and he comfortably gets it or straight around and makes it work. And that is
so
pretty easy from Ricky Atulu.
So easy. There is no other explanation for it. It just reminds me of, like, in other esports, you just say easy, just the 2 letters. That's what I imagine Riku Atalo did around the outside there. You know, he does play Counter-Strike, he knows that sort of culture. Easy around the outside there, and Unhola might even gain himself a position over Jean-Francois Arsenault now, as Arsenault had a very, very bad Surtees corner. Unhola looking for the inside, darts towards the outside instead as they cut up in towards the right, and Unhola, fantastic grip around the outside. Just, what else can you say?
PogChamp overtake. Simple as that. That was great from Tommy Mikel Unhola, as that was a beautiful, beautiful move that was done, as Jean-Francois Arsenault can just sit in the dust and go, yeah, you've just gone around the outside of me. What more am I supposed to say? Final pit stops should be coming in. It is 2 laps to go here at Brands Hatch. And Connery, it has to be said, these 12 laps have gone surprisingly quickly.
They have, and that is, I'd say that's a good thing because we can get quicker onto the grand finals. I guess that's the way I was going to say that one. But Mata and Arsenault, the two Jean-Francois, then on the lane on the second to last lap. So they're taking the pit stop as late as is legally possible for those guys. But P number 1 through 5 for Team Finland. They are on the second to last lap right now. So white flag next time by for Joni Heikkinen. Is he going to take... I was going to say 2 of the heat wins here, but technically he didn't win the last one, and he's going to decide to head his way in right now at the latest possible moment.
Well, he does what he did on the opening race, and that is Pit Newlander will follow in suit then and make his way down onto pit road. And who can blame them at this stage? They have just been the stars of the field and have been a world apart from this Canada side. And I said in the ovals that it was a case of maple syrup being spilt all over Michigan. Well, if it was spilt over Michigan, it has been absolutely lathered over Brands Hatch as things stand. Newlander and Heikkinen out and away still, 1 and 2. Battle going on for 5th position. It's not, because Ron Gale gets put a lap down by Tommy Mikel Unhola, but this is very, very telling from this one. Kim Eriksson has found Jean-Francois Mata. This, maybe for a salvage of pride, is for 8th position out on the road. Eriksson has been fantastic at closing down this gap. It was a 19-1 from Mata, 15-3 from Kim Eriksson on the brakes into the Druids hairpin and trying to pick up a run off the exit. Eriksson will be patient with the way that he will want to make this move for the time being, at least. Not close enough to make it happen, but to Joni Heikkinen, who will make his way to the final corner. It seems that it's so simple right now for Finland, a world apart from the rest, as Heikkinen crosses the line first for the second time and will pick up, hopefully, his first race victory of the afternoon. Joni Heikkinen wins it here at Brands Hatch. It will be Newlander who will come home a very slow second, with Backman and Alatalo third, fourth, and Hola will round out the top 5. Does Kim Eriksson have a chance to make the move on Jean-Francois Mata? I think he's just going to take the easy option, just sit behind and give a little bit of pride over to the Canadians, because he's not going to go and be able to make that move over to the line. He's going to try it, but he's not going to be close enough come at the end of this one. Connery, this is domination from Finland.
Yeah, sets themselves up very, very well coming into that grand final. Once again, it's going to be against the UK and Ireland. UK and Ireland had a little bit of a tougher time against Diach in their semi-final, but it was all plain sailing for the Finnish squad here in the World Cup.
Joni Heikkinen takes the victory by 13 seconds over JJ Newlander, with Joni Bachmann coming home in third. It's Rico Alatalo fourth and Tommy Mikel-Anhola in fifth. Scott Vallette, the best of the Canadians, in sixth. Tobias Lilloito gets seventh, with Jean-Francois Mata in eighth place. Kim Eriksson ninth, and Jean-Francois Arsenault will round out the top 10. Claude Belval in 11th, with Ron Gale 12th. Randy Ho 13th, 2 laps down. And those who failed to finish: Derek Roeleveld, Brandon Hawkin, and Ossian Puhaka. It was complete capitulation from the Canadians here, but it will be all and over in terms of this one, because we're going to step aside here on the iRacing Esports Network. The grand final comes up. It is the most dominant Finland we've seen against Club UK and Ireland, and if there's anything to go on it, it seems that a betting man would say one thing, but right now you feel that UK and I are the closest club in the world to challenging this Finland team.
The most realistic online racing sim ever made. This is iRacing. Detailed laser scan tracks, fully dynamic real world cars, and over 50 series to choose from. 6 online world championships offering over $100,000 in annual prizes. This is the original esport racing game. This is iRacing.
As we prepare to crown the 2018 NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series champion, and we're so happy that you're along for the ride with us this evening for the 18th and final race this season. We welcome you into the RaceSpot TV booth. Myself, Evan Pasoko, Randy Cheneth with you for the call tonight. Our director, Hugo Louise, is downstairs. RaceSpot TV and the iRacing Esports Network. One race to crown a champion. Let's go racing from Homestead. Green flag in the air to turn number 1. Nick Ottinger, your pole sitter, brings us up to the gears for the first time. We are going to go 3 wide for the lead at Homestead, just 9 laps in. Lewis wants to make the inside work, and Schoenberg way overdrove quarter 3. He'll throw this one away. Brad Davies with a big run.
Fortunately loose, Mr. Taylor Hurst, Michael Guest just coming up the racetrack. They both go for the same bit of real estate at the same time. The 05 and Nick Ottinger, bit of an in his set up the dream situation. Michael picks up the 4th spot, and that puts championship contenders running 1, 2, 3, 4 as they come to start lap 107.
The battle for the top 4 is the battle for this 2018 championship.
Able to fight Ray here as they go down the front straightaway, but if you're alive risking the 34 as he gets the wall that goes side by side to the 1.
It was the slightest bit of contact, but it breathes new life to Ray Alfala. Look how hard they drive it into the corner as Alfala pushes Luza up the hill.
Back straightaway, do either of them off the pit road? Yes, he does. Ray Alfala makes the call a few laps after Busa.
And he went right side by side with Luza into the corner. And look at how Fowler digs sideways as he tries to get all the time he can. All kinds of out of shape as Ray Alfala drives it hard to pit road.
There is $10,000 on the line, 2 laps to go, and $10,000, 2/10 of a second separating it.
1 lap to determine the championship as Ryan Luza still needs a car length and a half, just 1 into the final time. The 6 drives it in hard. He looks for the bumper of Alfala, but he is not going to get there in time. The 6 can't stay in the S, and Ray Alfala is a 4-time champion of the NASCAR Peak Antifreeze iRacing Series.
It's a repeat of the Oval Final, and who was surprised? This is going to be a Titanic scrap, but for all the wrong reasons. Is there a redemption arc for UK and Ireland? Is it continued sustained dominance for Club Finland? This is the battleground. It's home track, home car advantage for UK and Ireland, but Finland are firmly the favourites as things stand, as we get ready for action in the final of the iRacing World Cup here on the iRacing Esports Network. brought to you by RaceSpot TV, and of course all of those who get it done for us. And Word Designs, the official graphics partner here on RaceSpot TV. ATVO and Apgeneer, the official graphics engine, with live timing and scoring brought to you by Nick Disson, animations by Simon Grossman, and of course the cameras brought to you by Esteban Ballas, Track Cams 22. Track conditions here today, 37 degrees, winds blowing in from the southeast at 19 kilometers an hour. Similar conditions in full effect for this one, but this is going to be very, very important, especially with what is coming up in just a moment's time. I believe that there is a little issue that needs to be addressed at the moment, but Connery, I have to say that this is going to be really important right now because Finland are looking unstoppable.
They are looking unstoppable, but can UK and Ireland do anything about them in this grand final? The practice times are looking good for both teams. It's a mix up there up the front. Joni Heikkinen fastest in practice, but the two behind him, Mark Usher and George Lambert, are UK and Ireland. Then you have 2 Finns, and then you have 2 Brits, and then 2 Finns, and then 4 Brits. So this is going to be an absolutely titanic scrap. We'll get qualifying going in just 30 seconds time, but this is the culmination of a couple of months worth of racing here in the iRacing Club World Cup. It has all come down to this best of 3 series.
It certainly has, and we have not seen any series tonight go to race number 3. It's been 2-0, 2-0, 2-0, no matter where you have been able to look. We have seen blowouts, we have seen some very close racing, we have seen controversy and everything in between. And Brands Hatch will play the final role in this World Cup. This Lotus 79, as selected by the Finnish drivers, will be the one which everyone now will keep a very close eye out on. Riku Alatalo will be out first for Club Finland, as he will try and put his stamp on this World Cup final first, up through the Druids hairpin. And Connery, this 3.7 kilometer circuit track, 9 turns, but a very, very difficult circuit for not only overtaking on, but for just how tight it can be. And if Canada have proven anything, incidents are rife when things go wrong. And when things go wrong very quickly here, they get catastrophically wrong.
It is not a track designed by Hilman Tilke, excuse me. Let me tell you that one. There is not a lot of room for error here. There are pretty much no tarmac runoff areas to save you. When you push wide, you're going to hit grass, you're going to hit gravel, you potentially are going to hit a barrier as well. So any close quarters racing will just have to be negotiated a little bit safer than you otherwise would have because of that lack of room for error. But we'll get on to our first flying laps then. Riku Alatalo will come across the line to start his first flying lap, and what can he do? That is going to be the issue. I suppose we're just going to ride on board with him until the end of this.
Let's go on board then with Riku Alatalo up into Druids, then down to 79 kilometers an hour, back onto the power, and very, very smooth, using all of the track through Graham Hill Bend, a corner which for beginners is a nightmarish little corner, which always you see amateurs running wide. Then through Surtees corner, looking to put the power down, and again Alatalo is proving that over the past 5 years or so he has always had a fantastic run of pace. A former black stripe when it comes to the iRacing World Championship Grand Prix Series, then through Hawthorne's corner, and now to Westfield Bend, this fantastic right-hander, and using all of the circuit, always flowing in between the lines. It's majestic watching Riku Alatalo drive through the Sheens curve, and now into the next left of the Stirling's Bend, and actually having a very, very accomplished run of things. Nothing looks out of place. Every meaningful turn looks like it has been placed there deliberately. Alatalo will look to make his way across the start-finish line. First reasonable time, 1:12.9. That is glorious from Alatalo.
That is a brilliant lap. What a benchmark to set. Jack McIntyre Heikkinen goes even faster than Alatalo by about 1/10 of a second. So the Finnish drivers pulling those times right out of the bag. Fleur Hughes then gets himself P number 5. George Lambert only good enough for P number 3 right now. These guys do have a good couple of laps to work with, so this isn't going to be it. We've still got about 6 minutes of qualifying left. But look, Joni Backman up in towards P number 6, but drops down because Tipani Liniletto has got himself towards P number 6. Kim Eriksson, though, P number 3. Finland are showing up in qualifying.
They certainly are, as Mark Usher can only manage 5th position with his qualifying lap, and there's still Ossian Puhaka and Tommy and Hola who have to set times along with Mark Pickford. Matthew Webb will set himself a first representative lap time, 1:14.2, puts himself just behind JJ Newlander. Out on track, Puhaka 1:13.1 moves himself up into 3rd as Alatalo goes even quicker, 1:12.633. We were talking about 1:12s being almost impossible. He's now broken it, Heikkinen 1:12.7. It's a little game between the finish right now. Who can take pole?
Oh my words, we didn't even see this in qualifying for the Canada race, so maybe a tad, just a tad of sandbagging going on from Finland in that race, not wanting to show their overall pace. They've just unleashed it on the racing circuit right now. Backman back up in towards 7th place, so this is starting to look troubling from the British contingent, even though we're just 5 minutes through qualifying.
George Lambert, though, in 3rd position, 1:13.112. Good lap time from him. But look at this, it's Finland 1, 2, 4, 5, and 6 out on this one as Mark Usher leapfrogs Ossian Puhaka, 1:13.152. 3rd through to 6th position, or even further to 7th, is split by less than 600ths of a second. You tell me that this is close? Oh yeah, this is very close. Here comes Puhaka over to the line then. As he looks to go even quicker, he goes slightly slower in terms of his lap time. As Alatalo cannot go quicker on his 3rd lap. Can Jack McIntyre find anything? Oh yes, he can. 1:13.325, but not positions. Heikkinen, 1:12.568. They go even faster here at Brands Hatch.
Easy does it for the Finns right now. Those top 2 cars pretty much half a second faster than every other car out there on circuit. Fantastic stuff from the Finnish duo right at the front of the field, but it's this mid-pack where things are all going to be decided right now. We've got a chunk of UK Nicholas bomb into the mid-pack here. Fleur Hughes, Mark Pickford, Matthew Webb, all drivers that we know can get those fast lap times onto the board, but they just simply haven't done so far.
No, they haven't, and we're starting to look at final times here. Starting to come in, the likes of Matthew Webb has got one final lap, and this is that one last final lap through the final corner, trying to put that power down as quickly as he can through that ever-decreasing radius corner of Jim Clark's curve. 1:13.752. Oh, he matches Mark Pickford of all things considered there, so not able to gain a position, unfortunately, with that one. Alatalo has conceded to Joni Heikkinen for pole position, and I'm not surprised either with the way that Heikkinen has been running in this event. That is some magical times that he's been able to produce there. Pickford may not go any quicker than he does. George Lambert will be hoping for something better than 13.1, and it is another 13.1 by his standards, so he can't go any quicker than he can. Barry West, though, is on a flying lap. He's currently in the 15th position and probably hoping for a little more. A good 7/10 of a second would be helpful for Barry West here. The Baz trying to find something as Barry West does cross the line and does a 1:14.405. He goes quicker on time, but not on position. Most crucially, Mark Usher, 1:12.987. Bang!
Like it.
Puts a bit of help for UK and Ireland. 3 and 4. It stops the rot slightly in this one. Puhaka, though, could have something to say in the realm of 0.2 of a second if he's not careful. Here comes Puhaka over to the start-finish line, and that's a 1:12.955. Bang! Straight back, go Finland.
Oh my God, Finland, they're absolutely fighting tooth and nail from this one. They've been pressured by the UK and I, but the thing is, they have responded in qualifying. I don't think there's anyone left out there on circuit apart from Tommy Unhola that can get themselves a lap time done, and the cherry on top would be if they get Unhola inside the top 10 here for Finland.
Well, he's 5,000ths off of gaining 2 positions, and he's only a good 2.5 tenths off of Clear Hughes, which is going to be very, very telling in terms of this one. Unhola currently 14th in qualifying, and 10th position is actually Joni Backman's 1:13.366. So the only thing they can do is try and find 4/10 of a second. Here's Unhola through Westfield Bend and all over the curb and using every inch of the track. Little wiggle though heading down Dingledale. That was mainly because he got so much of that AstroTurf on the outside. Another wiggle through the Sheens curve. Always a slight correction here and there from Tommy Unhola. He's having to try and navigate the best that he can around this Brands Hatch circuit. Final corner comes along, and Unhola looking to try and put his 4th lap on the board. What can he manage? Answer is a 1:13.297. Bang, bang, bang. Puts himself just behind Kim Eriksson. Top 10 was asked for and did just that in 8th position. That is qualifying done. This is how the grid will look. Joni Heikkinen 1:12.568, a magical lap time as he eclipses Riku Alatalo in 2nd. Ossian Puhaka will start from 3rd, with Mark Usher in 4th, the first of the the UKNI contingent, as George Lambert gets 5th and Tapani Leluoto 6th. Kim Eriksson will start from 7th with Tommy Mikael Unhola in 8th position. Jack McIntyre 9th with JJ Newlander 10th. The last of the Finnish cars being Joni Backman in 11th. Then it's the rest of UKNI. Clear Hughes, Mark Pickford, Matthew Webb, Barry West and Steve Greenwood. Give credit though to Club UK and Ireland. It's only 7/10 of a second, splitting 3rd from 14th position. That shows you how close this field certainly is out here today. But Connery, gridding process and Finland are looking once again majestic, and look at the qualifying times. They're otherworldly.
At least in terms of that top 2, it's just absolutely... I like, what else can you say? What else can you say about the times that we've seen out there on track? Joni Heikkinen and Riku Alatalo just on another level compared to the rest of this field. But, you know, this race might not be decided by who finishes 1st and 2nd. It's decided about basically the average place of everyone out there on circuit, who can get themselves the most amount of members inside of that top half of the field, I suppose. But here we go. We're going through the gridding process right now. Finland fashionably late, as always, to the grid. But this is a disadvantage for UKNI coming into this one. But that oval race was a complete mess. It was drama all over the place. And chaos may even be UKNI's best friend here, within the rules, of course.
Within the realms of the rules and, of course, that rule book. But you can see now how Finland want to make them stew over every little bit that they have managed to create, and they have created a fantastic qualifying contingency plan. They have managed to get themselves 3 right in front of UKNI, 3 just behind the 2 of UKNI, and then 2 behind the 2nd UKNI. This has been fantastic work from Finland. Onto the grid comes Joni Heikkinen, and let's get the gridding procedure ready. 12 laps of Brands Hatch in heat number 1. Goes, the final goes, and it's a very slow start from Usher in 4th position, and he will just about get away with it as George Lambert thinks about going down the inside. He won't be able to. Look at the run though Usher's got off of the exit though of turn number 1. He'll go to the outside of Druids, trying to make a way past Puhaka, but Puhaka's having absolutely none of it. It's clean. Further back down through the field, no dramas to speak of. Newlander in his own little scrap as around the outside will go Clear Hughes, and taking a position away away as he now looks at Tommy, Mikel and Hola down the inside, and he will go instantly for it, but will not pick up the exit, though otherwise, Connery, great start.
Yeah, Fleur Hughes really making some inroads right now on this Finnish squad, so that is the hope that UK and I have to hang onto this first lap. No dramas further back through the field. We've got all 16 runners still in this race. It's a Finland 1, 2 and 3 with Usher currently P number 4 with Lambert P number 5 as well. Absolutely nose to tail throughout the field, but Lambert made a slight mistake coming through Sheen's curve and allows Linulotto to have a little bit of a look, perhaps in towards Clark curve. No, a little bit too far back to be able to look for that move as Linulotto looks to the lane.
He does, and followed instantly. Bachmann, McIntyre decide to go onto the lane, as does Nylander too. So it seems that 4 came in. I looked at Bachmann and he was very aggressive, trying to get onto the lane. Hopefully not too aggressive, as now drivers look to start lap 2. There goes Linulotto, there goes Bachmann, there goes Nylander. If anyone's too aggressive, it was Jack McIntyre. He lost everybody in that stop, and bye, says the Finns. McIntyre left in no man's land.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Just a huge moment there for that McIntyre. That stop wasn't the greatest one at all, so he'll have to try and recover something back from this race. But on to the middle of lap number 2 then. Heikkinen leading the way from Alatalo, from Puhaka, from Usher, from Lambert, from Eriksson. That is how the top 6, excuse me, will stand in this one. But we've got a big chunk of UK and Ireland cars, P number 8 and down, that are currently trying to lock onto the back of Tommy Unhola, and Unhola can really be a big friend to the rest of the Finnish squad here if he can hold up this entire train.
And I think that's going to have to be the plan. In comes Mark Usher then to make his first stop. You expect Heikkinen and co to pit as late as possible in this one. George Lambert will have to make it happen on the track if anything is to happen. Usher out and away with his next to nothing start right about now, as he looks to get back onto the gas and get himself away, crucially behind Greenwood, ahead of Linulotto, so he will have a little bit of work left to do in heat number 1 if anything is to suffice here in this final. Heikkinen leads it, Alatalo second, Puhaka in third, Lambert now promoted up into 4th place, and Hola still holding off Hughes, and Fleur Hughes, the Welshman with the most unpronounceable name known to mankind, is trying everything to get past Hola, and I think it's a bit unheard of at this moment if Finland thinks that Fleur Hughes is just going to sit back and just sit and wait.
He showed some fantastic pace in that matchup against the Diach club, but Fleur Hughes right now just has to find a little bit more. He's got a Finn ahead of him that he can potentially challenge in Unhola. He has some further down the road. Kim Eriksson is there as well, so it's definitely passes on the cards for Fleur Hughes right now, but simply not close enough to make them work. We have a car on the lane. That's Ossian Puhaka that has decided to head his way in for his one and only not even service on the lane, as he only has to get himself stopped in his box for that one to count. But right now, easy does it, simple does it for Finland, so they're taking the early advantage in this one. 119 points to 74 in Heat 1.
It certainly is that advantage, but that will come down a little bit. Mark Usher is just behind Puhaka now, so this is a little bit worrying, I'd feel, for Finland, because Mark Usher has put some great laps in and has kept Puhaka honest, which will be also keeping Alatalo and Heikkinen at the front of the field very honest in their own rights as well. They know they can't afford to stop pushing here in this event. Lambert holding off Kim Eriksson in his own little scrap at the moment. 4 UK and I cars then yet to come down in. Greenwood, Webb, Pickford, Hughes, and also Lambert. So I lied, it's 5 actually that needs to come down. At the moment, there's not much you can argue with here for UK and Ireland. Everybody else nowhere near. McIntyre nowhere near Nylander and Bachmann. It seems that Finland have the strategy on point, and there's still not enough pace to execute for UK and Ireland.
Not just yet. Usher trying to lock on to the back of Ossian Puhaka here. On to lap number 5 they will go. The pace advantage is going to go towards Mark Usher, but that's going to be sitting in the dirty air through Paddock Hill Bend. Somehow he gets the run, looks to the outside of the Druids. He clips the grass on the outside. That means that car's not going to turn. He's going to lose the position to Lenny Lotto.
Oh, that was a shame there from Mark Usher. It was 1:10.83, and he felt in a great position to make that happen. He was all over the show trying to get in. He moved to the left-hand side. The moment he did, he overcommitted to it. Tire on the grass, and that will never help in the braking zone. Braking on a different surface in this sort of vehicle is like trying to drive on ice while you got a blindfold on. Usher loses a position to Linnaluoto, and as such, Finland secures more dominance then towards the front of the field once the pit stop window happens. Hughes is through on Tommy Mikel and Holo, and Linnaluoto running into issues.
Yeah, he's in the gravel, in the grass, but he somehow managed to make it back as Usher goes for a spin off of Sheen Curve. Oh my God, that is the last thing that the UK and Ireland team needs. You saw Finland make a mistake with one of their drivers losing the position, and then Mark Usher does one more catastrophic one.
Oh, yes, he does, and this is just going from bad to worse for UK and Ireland. There was a mistake for Tommy Unhola. That was down at Westfield Bend. He caught the curb and then just had to drag it into the grass and managed to just pull it up in time. One position lost as Hughes makes one. But as soon as one position's made, 2 positions made, 2 more, 3 more get lost straight away. It's almost as if you're going around in circles in an MC Escher painting. If you are UK and Ireland, they've got nowhere to go, it seems.
Definitely seems to be the case, but right now, battle is out there on track. Mark Pickford versus Tommy Unhola. Pickford has the pace advantage in this one up towards the corner of Sheen, up and towards Stirling's Bend as well. Pickford looking for this position. Every single position out there on track right now is so crucial for the UK and Ireland. The gap stands in the points 111 to 82, but that's because a lot of the Finns have pitted already. The likes of Puhaka, Bachmann, Linnaluoto, JJ Nylander as well have had their way in, as opposed to only Usher and McIntyre for the UK and Ireland. So that one could even be bigger than what first seems. But Pickford still not able to get onto the back of Unhola. He's going to be dealing with quite a bit of dirty air running behind that white and blue finish car.
Very much is so. Kim Eriksson as well trying to harass the rear of George Lambert. This for the podium as things stand. So now for George Lambert, he sees himself with a big gap of 4 seconds in front to Alatalo. Eriksson is going to keep him honest through this next right-hander. And now it's just right-handers from here. Reminds you a little bit here of just ever decreasing corners, just trying to work through these rights and rights and rights and hoping a left comes along in the future to help the tyres. Here's the left that comes along in the future. That's Stirling's Bend. And all of a sudden, Kim Eriksson sees the fact that, okay, we've got this one down to about half a second. Now do I decide to strategy call this?
Do you decide the strategy call? That's not going to be called. That's going to be made on this lap, at least, as he misses the pit lane. But right now, he does have the advantage. 10th of a second went his way over George Lambert last time across the timing beam on the start-finish straight, as Lambert struggling with that mid-corner grip coming through Druids. Manages to get off the corner relatively okay, though. We have a visitor on the lane. Steve Greenwood has got himself down in, but Lambert still trying to put up the defense to Eriksson.
Out and away then comes Greenwood, as he, I believe, has gone in, stopped and out again, just behind, or not just behind, a lot behind Barry West. So it seems there's not much you can do here if you're UK and I. The drivers at the back are firmly at the back here, and it is showcased here quite effectively. Still, Lambert holding off Kim Eriksson in through the Sheen curve. No mistakes, please, no mistakes taken. 117 to 76 right now, Finland's advantage, and it is comprehensive at this stage, but still, Kim Eriksson just sitting, playing the patience game, waiting for the George Lambert mistake. There are few and far between, but at the moment it is pace the problem for Lambert.
Finland ever edging out their points advantage as well. 117 to 76 they lead in this first heat, and those 4 UK and Ireland cars that are right at the back of the field certainly aren't helping the situation.
They are not, and it will mean that Barry West and Steve Greenwood shall start from the back of the field if things remain as they do at the moment. So not much that they can do. Matthew Webb under pressure. Here's Puhaka, who has made his stop clearly quicker, trying to deal with the man with only 1,300 iRacing just in front. Puhaka, for example, over 6,000. Definitely a massive difference between the two in terms of the fields they normally fight in. But crucially, Matthew Webb is proving that he's very good at defending. He's looking all over the place trying to make a move. He does go down to the inside. Puhaka on his contact, but they hold it together. Puhaka with a bit of a laugh. He looked in every mirror trying to make a move. He even looked in the mirrors to alternate dimensions.
Oh my words, weave all you like there, Ossian Puhaka behind the driver of Matthew Webb, but he does decide to head his way through. As I don't know, if that was me in the car ahead, that would be so damn distracting. And if it was a distraction tactic, excuse me, as I get my English in order, then it worked.
It certainly worked. It's very dangerous to weave that much, though. I think the FIA would have had a word or two about that sort of move, but still managed to make it happen, and very thoroughly as well. Lap 10 of 12, though. 3 laps to go and under 2.5 now for Joni Heikkinen after what has been just a calm Sunday drive, really, at the front of the field. 3.2 seconds over Ricky Atulu. Riku Alatalo behind. That tells you all you need to know. Lambert still there as Puhaka running into a few issues. This brings Webb back into it here. Time for act of revenge, maybe.
He had a moment off of Graham Hill Bend, brings Matthew Webb back into things as they go through the middle sector, but Puhaka able to take these right-handers in such a more comfortable fashion than Matthew Webb is able to, managing to edge out that gap for the battle for P number 7 out there. But that battle for P number 2, though, has been put on hold for now because Kim Eriksson has decided to go in.
Podium battle on hold for 3rd, which will promote Clear Hughes up into 4th position momentarily. Eriksson back out, back away again, and trying to get back going ahead of Puhaka, potentially into the line of sight of Puhaka and Matthew Webb, and will come out behind. So Eriksson gets traffic, not what's wanted, but this is now a battle for 4th position net on the road, because we know that Puhaka pitted from 3rd, and that's not really too close to liking at all. So George Lambert now, if he gets a good lap in here, Connery, he could really put himself right into play as Heikkinen and Alatalo and Lambert will be due in on the lane.
That's definitely what is required. They're going to have to pit on this second to last lap. They have no choice about it unless they want to get disqualified from this event. So we'll see Heikkinen come through the Clark curve, has to angle toward the pit lane. Same with Alatalo, same with George Lambert as well. And where Lambert comes out will be very crucial in terms of that battle with Eriksson, because Eriksson sitting in the dirty air of Webb as Webb goes for the curb and goes for a spin and hits the Armco barrier on the inside as well.
Oh, it hurts for Webb, and that there is pressure being told. Kim Eriksson is difficult in this one, and Eriksson has his own little issue, and Matthew Webb is struggling so much. So Eriksson having a little moment of his own then on the final lap through the final corner as he just gets a little slide, a kick, and out into the kitty litter he will go. For Heikkinen, it's the lead. It's 2nd for Alatalo, and it is 3rd for George Lambert here, who has made a stop and come out ahead of Ossian Puhaka, which is exactly what was wanted in the long and the short of things. Half a lap to go for Joni Heikkinen, and looking, try and get through as much. Usha! Oh my goodness me. Having his own moment on the outside of Sterling's, clips the grass and curb, loses a position, and loses not nearly another one to Mark Pickford. they will keep things as they are. But for Joni Heikkinen, final corner awaits. Heat 1 is comprehensively going to Finland, and now it is a mountain, an arduous one to climb for UK and Ireland, because Finland are just that one cut above.
They 100% are, but and another thing as well, UK and Ireland won't even get pole position in this second heat, I guess, because Finland, P number 14 with Tapani Linjaletto. That is definitely not what the plan was. If this race was going to go wrong, you could just at least say, okay, maybe we can get pole position, maybe we can stack out the first couple of positions, but Linjaletto is spoiling the pole position party.
Oh, yes, he is. Results then as follows. It's victory for Joni Heikkinen with Riku Alatalo second. George Lambert will come home third with Ossian Puhaka fourth. Joni Backman finishes fifth ahead of Kim Eriksson. Claire Hughes in seventh with JJ Nylander in eighth. Tommy Anhola gets ninth with Mark Usher rounding out the top 10. Then it's Mark Pickford, Jack McIntyre, Barry West, Tapani Linjaletto on pole with Steve Greenwood and Matthew Webb finishing outside as things stands. Gridding up process then begins, and UK and I need a lot of help to make things happen here, but they do have the strength in numbers at the front of this field, which will be very, very useful moving on forward. But for now, at least, it's a case of how do you want to make this happen? Is it the case a slow death or a long death? At the moment, I think it's a little bit of 50-50. Engines revved though for Heat 2. Let's get going. Tapani Linjaletto gets a fantastic start off the front, but is matched toe for toe by Barry Webb. Car in the grass through turn number 1, and that was a UK and I on UK and I. Go careful there, and I believe that was Mark Usher desperately trying to make a way past Mark Pickford. Miscommunication. We saw what happened with Canada when things happen like that. Usher still fighting himself with Tommy Michael Anhola, and Anhola cannot get himself away through. Hughes trying to fight off the stage challenge of Kim Eriksson on the outside, and for the moment it seems that Eriksson does get the position, just about manages it there, as it will be patience elementary wise from Finland. Good start there from UK and I.
Good start, but they crucially have had people drop to the back of the field. Steve Greenwood there in P14, Lambert P15, and Matthew Webb P number 16. Not the start that UK and Ireland wanted, at least for the drivers that have dropped back, especially the likes of George Lambert. He's sort of so far back off of this main train right now. He does have those 12 laps, excuse me, to work with to try and gain some points back for the UK and Ireland. But the thing is, UK and I, P number 2, 3, 4, and 5. But that's going to change as pitters head their way in.
104 to 89 then at the opening lap, but there are pitters. Mark Usher, Barry West, Riku Alatalo, Joni Backman and Matthew Webb all decide to come down on the lane. Linjaletto certainly not clear in this one. Jack McIntyre will follow every single step of the way through Graham Hill Bend to desperately keep this race on ice at the moment. Hughes trying to fight with Nylander, who's made his way through, and now for Hughes it's about trying to curb off the unstoppable tide of Finnish drivers that keep finding his way through, or their ways through. But now for Hughes, he knows I've got to start attacking back if I want anything to happen, as Anhola and Eriksson may start thinking about changing positions here, and look at who will try and get those positions moving forward. Alatalo will be charging, and what's very, very telling here, Connery, is where Joni Heikkinen is in all of this, as Heikkinen has got away past Puhaka on this lap, and next up is Hughes. I'm not sure anybody can stop Heikkinen in this form.
Oh, it's absolutely unstoppable. Fantastic stuff from Joni Heikkinen. Can he take another, well, even get even close to another race win? Tommy Anhola then down on towards their lane. Linjaletto setting some very quick laps right at the front of the field. Steve Greenwood has also hit the lane trying to get their service done, and I have to question some of these early pitters from the UK and Ireland. I think they would be much better actually staying out on track and just causing hell for Finland. There's no point in dropping yourself towards the back and then just letting Finland do whatever they want to do on the pit stops and getting the jump. I think this is the wrong call.
It may just be that wrong call, but Mark Usher is still ahead of Alatalo. Bachmann and Unhola, with Barry West just behind. Greenwood has a little moment through turn number 1. He's got to be careful about that. But Jack McIntyre is keeping Little Otto honest. Was quicker on that last lap. Did a 13.9 compared to a 14.1, but has hit the dirty air wall, which is stopping him getting any closer to making a magic move. And that much is telling. Hughes now trying to hold off Heikkinen, who is all over the rear of the Welshman. Through the left-hander they go of turn number 8. They head to the Jim Clark curve. Will Hughes defend this one? Answer is no, but Heikkinen can't find a lane down the inside as Hughes makes a late decision to come down onto the lane, holding Heikkinen up. Clever there from UKNI. Hold the quick guy up.
Yeah, you just have to do that, as the points advantage will go the way of Finland with all the pitters that have happened. 111 to 82, and it's going to be Finland about 8.5 laps away from yet another World Cup, unless UK and Ireland can come back into this one with the strategy call that they have made. I do believe it's the wrong one, but it could be one that might just work given the right circumstances. Of course, Steve Greenwood, though, down on towards the lane a second time in this one, so that's pretty much gonna almost guarantee that UK and I will have someone finishing last from their club, unless there's a big accident that has happened, that is going to happen, excuse me, out there on circuit. But Lineal Leto leading, but not by much here. Jack McIntyre is there and is ready to pounce as soon as Lineal Leto steps out of line.
And that's the key here. Will any of these drivers step out of line? When it comes to official racing in the Lotus 79, it's about twice as long, not even twice as long, about 3-4 times as long as this. You race over an hour from time to time, and that's got to be what's telling. If you make a mistake in 15 minutes, you're criticised as being a driver who can't keep it on the island. But for the moment, at least, it seems that there are drivers out there who are trying to make something happen. Others who seemingly are struggling. Is almost Finland trip over each other. Nylander, Heikkinen and Ossian Puhaka. And look at that. Let the driver go. Goes JJ Nylander. The coordination is absolutely on point here from Finland. They work as a complete unit, and that means we don't fight anyone from our own team. You go through, you are faster.
And they managed to negotiate these passes so quickly as well. There's no time left out there on circuit that could have been sort of lost by trying to fight with your own teammates. So you just get it through, get it done in all the correct places as well. A battle for the race lead. Lineal Leto getting piled on from behind. The pressure is immense from Jack McIntyre right now. Through Sterling's bend they will go, but still it's going to be Lineal Leto leading, and Lineal Leto is doing all that he needs to do at the front of this field right now, keeping McIntyre back and stopping him from gaining the advantage over the Finnish drivers that have made stops.
114 to 79, Finland the advantage right now. Mark Pickford under his own amounts of pressure as Drew looks to try. Kim Eriksson for third position out on the road, looking at the outside, not quite there on the brakes, trying to make it happen. McIntyre still has nothing to answer to Tapani Linnaluoto at the front of the field, but at the moment it is Finland who are making great progress through Heikkinen, Puhaka and Nylander. That is where the advantage is being very firmly made at the moment. Onhola trying to find a way past Clear Hughes, not finding anything at the moment. Alatalo still reeling in slowly. Mark Usher, who may not have much to fight back against the very quick driver of Alatalo.
Yeah, Usher, he hasn't had the best race too, and this is a race where he really needed to cover life, but he's made way too many mistakes. He's brought himself back into this position. The same could be said for George Lambert as well, who has been pretty quiet in this first race. He hasn't even come down on towards the lane yet and is only P number 8. So this is disaster for the UK and Ireland. They needed their two fast drivers to get up through this field quickly, and they've been stopped.
Have been absolutely halted at the gates as McIntyre made a small mistake in the final corner, has opened the gap to 0.7 of a second. Breathing room for Tapani Linnaluoto for the first time in about 5 laps worth of racing, and he will be happy with that. Next up though for Mark Pickford, as Kim Eriksson has struggled to make any headway, Joni Heikkinen will be thinking, well, if you can't make the move, then I certainly can, and he will look to try and boast the fact that he can work it. Remember, Kim Eriksson is his own teammate at Black Rockstar Racing, they know each other better than anybody else, and arguably you'd have to say that Kim Eriksson probably will be moving out of the way very shortly for the faster Joni Heikkinen to go and make the magic moves on a certain Mr. Mark Pickford for third position. At the moment, nothing forthcoming, but look at how much they're pushing.
Yep, exactly. You exactly called it as well there, Jay. Kim Eriksson actually pushing a little bit wide through Sheen's Cove and just getting Joni Heikkinen all the way back through. And what a performance this would be if Heikkinen was able to get himself maybe onto those podium steps after starting in P number 14 after the reverse grid. It's going to be an effort, but it's going to be the cherry on top in terms of Finland's World Cup right now. Pickford sliding his way through Druids. Half a second is the advantage that Heikkinen is working with. So this one, Mark Pickford will fight it, but I think Heikkinen is going to be the better driver and has the most pace at this stage.
But don't count out Mark Pickford, who has been very much a sleeper agent in this field, has been always up there with the likes of Jack McIntyre and co. And here comes Heikkinen down the hill, looking down to the inside to make the move. Fought around the outside by Mark Pickford, who holds the position fantastically against Joni Heikkinen. There is no doubts about Mark Pickford's defensive skills. He took Heikkinen and he said, "You've got the inside? Oh no, we're still fighting, buddy."
Yeah, we very, very much are. Pickford, he's doing a job right now for the UK and Ireland, just holding back Heikkinen, holding back Eriksson. And you've also got, he's going to go for a twitch coming through Clark Curve. That'll give the advantage to Heikkinen. He'll close off the door, force Heikkinen to the pit wall, but Heikkinen has space for Paddock Hill bend as that was Eriksson looking for a hopeful move. But this fight is going to continue up towards Druids. Then Pickford going to get covered off for the inside line, and that is Heikkinen through.
Mark Pickford showing that he has resolve to battle, and there's not much more you can do here about Joni Heikkinen, because Heikkinen has been absolutely fantastic at making his way through. But has that held up Heikkinen enough that he can't get to Jack McIntyre, who is 3 seconds down the road? McIntyre now 1.2 back of Tapani Linuluoto, and with these top 6 all needing to make stops, keep an eye on it. Alatalo has caught Mark Usher, both have made stops, and now Alatalo goes down the inside, but again that outside track working as Alatalo runs wide and drops himself 8/10 in one corner.
Yeah, very much does. Finland 108, UK and Ireland 85, so UK starting to come back, but I think it's going to be too late in this one. Kim Eriksson versus the car of Mark Pickford. Pickford heads his way in instead of fighting.
Yeah, and Mark Pickford decides now's the time to come in, make the mandatory stop and get out again. I wonder if McIntyre, if he wants anything to happen, should come in this time by. We've seen how the Finns love pitting lap 11 and making something happen. Pickford, long stop as well. 15 seconds of a long stop. That's a stop and hold. Mark Pickford, day and done, and that's just compounded misery on UK and Ireland, because Pickford was having a fantastic run but was pressured into a quick stop, and ultimately the stop is too quick getting onto the lane.
Yeah, that is pretty much, I have to argue, race done. I think unless something huge happens, unless something catastrophic happens, I think Finland, they are just about 2 laps away from taking their 6th iRacing World Cup. But 2 laps, things can change, yes, but they haven't so far in any of the heats that we've seen in this situation. Again, Linuluoto arcing towards the pit lane. McIntyre will stay out at least 1 more lap, so will Joni Heikkinen as well. Both drivers still yet to pit, but Eriksson in as well. The last set of stops, we're starting to see the last set of stops now. We'll see the last ones just before the final lap of the race, and it's Finland all the way.
It is at the moment, but for the time being at least, there will be some respite in Jack McIntyre leading this event. Tapani Linuluoto comes out behind Mark Usher, so positions gained for UK and Ireland with that one, but not many in the long and short, because Alatalo and Linuluoto will still keep Mark Usher company between now and the end of this event, with a lap and a half remaining as Jack McIntyre leads this field and should filter out behind those drivers that are aforementioned in this race. So still a little bit can happen here. Clear Hughes just behind Kim Eriksson, still trying to hope for something. Joni Bachmann's kept quiet throughout this event as well. He's doing a very sterling job of keeping things going, but now it's the final pit stops. In comes McIntyre, in comes Heikkinen. Nylander expected to come in as well, but McIntyre needs to be lightning fast with this one to keep the absolutely storming Joni Heikkinen just behind. The last thing you want is Heikkinen having a chance on the final lap. Stop and slow out of the box. Jack McIntyre has left the chance. Through goes Mark Usher. Through goes Riku Alatalo, as staying out will be next to nobody here in this one. There is Little Otto just behind. Eriksson, Hughes go through as Nylander comes out behind Tommy and Hola. Lambert comes out in front of Barry Weston on the final lap. Jack McIntyre still holding off the third position. Mark Usher, for all of this, we've made mistakes, leads on the final lap here, and that early stop has paid off for the number 3 who started this second race from 5th position on the grid. Alatalo right now looking as McIntyre and Heikkinen too wide. Heikkinen in the grass trying to make the move through in towards the Westfield Bend. Now through Dingledale and Machine Curve coming up, and Heikkinen is running out of options to make this move. It will be victory for Mark Usher. It will be consolatory at the very, very best. There will be no icing on the cake, but you can have your seconds and your thirds of said cake, but it will be an Usher victory, but a Finland domination as they confirm a World Cup 6 straight times here on iRacing.
Absolutely brilliant from Finland. They've been so consistently fantastic throughout this entire event, and they only needed to do it just one more time against their biggest rivals in the UK and Ireland. UK, they gave a very good fight, especially in that second heat, with Usher coming first, Jack McIntyre third, but it's the cars further down the field, it's the mid-pack and the back-of-the-pack battles that mattered. Finland locking out those positions, and they will take their 6th Club World Cup.
And that tells you all you need to know. They are so happy about it, and they make it 2-0 again. They had to work hard for this one, though, in the second race. It wasn't a foregone conclusion, and Mark Usher proved that because he held off Riku Alatalo throughout the entirety of that second race. Results, though, up on your screen. Mark Usher wins by 0.8 of a second over Riku Alatalo. Jack McIntyre will finish this one in third, with Joni Heikkinen getting 4th place in the end. Tapani Little Otto gets 5th, with Joni Bachmann in 6th place. Kim Eriksson gets 7th, with Clear Hughes in 8th position come the end. Tommy, Mikhail and Hola, Brett's 9th, and rounding out the top 10, JJ Nylander. And this is where the pain has hurt in this game for Club UK and Ireland. George Lambert can only get 11th, Barry West 12th, Ossian Puhaka 13th, Pickford 14th, Webb 15th, and Greenwood in 16th position. That tells you all you need to know. It has been the case of death that has been the issue for UK and Ireland, and the reason of consolidated strength for Finland has made them champions, as they will take their lap of honour after this fantastic amount of work that has been put into another successful World Cup victory. And Connor, you cannot argue the fact that Finland are top of the world at this, and they have proven again why nobody is on their level. The dynasty continues.
It does continue next year. They will be looking for their 7th, but the Club Finland are the 2018 iRacing Club World Cup champions, and it's a feeling that they've had so many times before. They'll feel it again as they line up 2 by 2 around the racing circuit. Fantastic effort from Puhaka, Bachmann, Unhola, Nylander, Heikkinen, Alatalo, Eriksson, and Linilotto on the road side of things to bring this home.
And most crucially, they have dominated both proceedings, both oval and road. And that will make this victory a lot more fuller in terms of this one. But let's not take anything away from Club UK and Ireland. They did give them a fight in both categories. Yes, you could argue that in road it was a lot more straightforward, but at every given point, UK and I gave their all and proved that they still are the #1 contenders to the Finland crown. But that is all that they managed to do. Come the end of it, be contenders. That's how good Finland have been once again here on iRacing. They are kings and queens of the promised land once again. As we're going to bring in commiserations from the losing base team. Into the booth will come Barry West and Paul Thurston. Barry West standing by with Connery Manning.
Oh, Barry, this was always going to be a very, very difficult, a slog of a race against the Finns, but unfortunately for the UK and I club, it wasn't to be. And coming into this race, Barry, what were your expectations? Did you seriously think that, did you think that Finland were going to have a mare and you were able to get yourself in there? Or was it just a case of we just have to run this race like any other?
I think we just had to approach it like any other, really, and it was just a matter of getting stuck in there, and I knew we could give them a race. Unfortunately, we had a bit of an incident at the start, and I lost a bit of a run on Tapani. I thought if I could get past Tapani off the start, it could make it a bit interesting, because my pace is much slower than everybody else's, but it's so difficult to overtake here. But I just don't know where the pace went today, because I couldn't even get in the 13s, and yet the races before I was in the 13s. Had a really good race in the semis against Tommy, and I was quicker than Tommy, half a second quicker. But he's found a lot more pace as well, and just pulled away from me. And it was just a matter of sticking with it. But 2 little slight errors, but yeah, it was a good race. I mean, they were fair drivers, and they deserved to win.
What do you think in both heat races that we had here in the grand finals? What do you think, as an overarching thing, went wrong?
For us, I don't know. I mean, it's pace. I mean, you can't take it away from the Finns. They haven't got the pace. I mean, some of our guys have as well, but it's just one of those things of being consistently fast, isn't it? You know, I just think I had much more pace than what I showed in the final. But yeah, to actually lose the pit stops, they've got off to a tee as well. I got mugged by 2 cars in the pit stops. Of course, not used to doing it. Your cars go through you when you come out, and then you don't want to touch them as you come out, because you don't know when you're going to actually reappear and make contact. But they just blasted straight through me on the way out, and I just thought, drat, that's 2 places gone. But yeah, it was a good race, a very enjoyable day. Yeah.
Yeah, and thank you very much, Barry. Yeah, thank you very much for joining us here today, Barry. We'll get a very, very quick word before we get the Finns in from the UK and Ireland representative, I suppose, of Paul Thurston. Jake, you can have a couple of words with him.
Yeah, I certainly can. And Paul, you said it would be an uphill struggle coming into this one, but your boys certainly gave a very good account of themselves, proven by taking victory in the second heat.
Oh yes, I was going to say no, we didn't. Oh yeah, we did get the win. Yeah, yes. I mean, there were some absolutely brilliant individual performances. I mean, hats off to the Finns. They have so much pace, as Barry says. I mean, they're just too quick for us at the end of the day. But I also got to say, I mean, that was a beautifully clean race. It was a pleasure to watch in many ways. It was just great racing. But we had a few things went wrong. Mark Pickford had a stunning race, because his throttle screwed up just before the start of the first heat. And so he was actually had to recalibrate to 50% throttle. How he kept that thing on the road, I have no idea, but he was keeping 2 Finns behind him for a long time. But yeah, congratulations to Finland. Absolutely well-deserved win. and we'll be back next year.
And hopefully you're hoping for a good car-track combination next year that maybe accentuates a little bit more the strengths of UK and Ireland?
I don't think we could have got a much better one than we did this year, to be honest. Look, a car's a car, it's got 4 wheels and an engine, and it goes. And a track is basically just a load of straights separated by corners. We can't use car or track as an excuse at all. The Finns were just faster than us. Whatever track or car we come against, the Finns have beaten us. So, you know, hats off.
Well, Paul Thurston, very gracious in defeat. We're going to bring in Joni Batman and also Ossian Puhaka into the conversation. As boys, it is 6 championships here for Finland, and it seems that it's a national celebration day for Finnish iRacers.
True.
I
don't have that. I don't have that privilege.
Well,
is it a question for me?
It's a question for both of you.
Well, as the reigning captain, I shall thank you, Joni, for your service. You may go now. Just kidding. So, yeah, I mean, it's a fantastic feeling to win once more. I don't know if some people thought that it's gonna get boring to win 6 times, and that's not a brag. But it was a wonderful feeling, and I must thank first and foremost the entire club UK and Ireland. They provided an excellent challenge today. They were fair, they were tough opponents, but they were fair opponents, especially on the road side. And we had a good, clean race, and we could decide it by racing, pure hard racing, instead of anything that goes controversial. So thank you, UK and Ireland, thank you, Paul Trust, and thank you to the entire crew.
Well,
Thank you,
had...
Ossian.
Well, I'll let you have the stage, Paul.
Yeah, I mean, thank you, mate. I mean, same goes to you. That road race was just, it was actually a pleasure to watch because it was just pure racing. You had the pace for us. Congratulations. I mean, absolutely well deserved. You had the pace for us on the oval as well. I mean, you know, arguments aside around that one. I mean, it's, you know, you had the pace on us. I think you'd have beaten us anyway. So we just have to get quicker. The only way to beat you is to get better because we can't beat you at the moment. Well done, guys.
Yeah, thank you. I'll maybe send you a driving guidebook or 2 for Christmas and see you next year.
We need about 30.
Well, anyway, Joni, I'm going to bring you into the conversation here because that road team had a lot of depth, a lot of strength in behind it as well, but you have to say it was not as easy as many people would give it credit for. A lot of drivers gave a great account of themselves throughout this event, and actually, when you argue about how Finland have been driving, how often has it come down to Finland versus UK and Ireland and just how tough of a challenge, and not necessarily a grudge match because you keep winning all the time, but how much of a challenge continues the UK and Ireland trend?
Oh, the challenge is immense. I mean, even today, the first race based on the qualifying, that was like as pretty much any normal sprint race you see in the roadside is. It's like basically tactic dependent, but in the reverse grid when we won the first race, I actually for one, I mean, we knew we had like 2, maybe 3 like true top runners, but outside of that we had like me amongst them. I considered myself in that team of 8 drivers to be like spot the void filler. So I knew that like we have a few fast guys, but so does UK, and I was actually pretty concerned about how the mid-pack is gonna do in comparison to UK, because I know since 2015, I mean, as I'm an honest person, Ossian knows that, so
yep.
I say this with a true heart that I think you guys should have won 2015 roadside, because you guys really had the pace. I mean, the only thing that got in the way was Martin Kroenke in turn 1, but basically you guys should have had that. But I felt like it was pretty close to like that this time. So I was quite surprised. We had one guy real time keeping us informed about the point standings, so how the pitted guys are doing. And I was actually biting my nails every now and then. I was like, that guy gonna come out in front of me? Is he behind me? Who is this guy? It's like every lap it was like staring at the F3 and just like going that around my head. Yeah, I'm not even the captain, and I was like biting my nails. So I'd say that UK definitely has like enormous amount of potential. It's just a matter of that small 0.5% that brings it all together. That I feel like currently we have in comparison to UK, but looking forward to seeing that gap going down to 0.
Ossian, 0.5% says your teammate Bachmann, but for 2019, you're surely looking at number 7.
Yeah, I mean, lucky number 7, what can you say? It's, of course, the goal is to win each and every year, and that's what we do. We want to win, and it's a personal thing too, highly personal thing, because Joni has currently 4 World Cups under his name as the captain. I only have 2, so we'll see at 2020. But I have big boots to fill. Absolutely, next year we'll be looking forward to it again, and well, what can I say? I think right now it's fair to say we are the club to beat, and I hope it continues onward, but I'm also looking forward to more challenge, more people challenging us, and, well, we had great races, and I hope it continues well into the future.
Well, the floor is yours. It's the victory, shout-out, sponsors, English, Finnish. No matter which way you want to do it, the floor is yours, Ossian.
Joni, you feel the rest. You feel the last part, you know how to feel it. Ei pronssia, ei hopeaa!
Torille.
Suomi voittaa kultaa, but almost. Yeah. Ei mitään, kiitos kaikille, hei. Kiitti kaikille. Kiitti, mä haluan sanoa niinku ovalijätkille kiitos. Te teitte ison duunin, te alustitte sen homman. Te olette maailmanmestareet, me ollaan roadijätkillä maailmanmestareet. Tommi, sä oot ekaa kertaa maailmanmestari. Älä vedä päätä liian täyteen, nautit tästä tilasta, muistat huomennakin jotain. Ei muuta, mä lupasin se. Poika lähtee tänä vuonna kiertämään jälleen kerran, jos joku se haluaa, ja ei mitään muuta. Kiitos kaikille. Thank you.
Vittu jee.
Vittu jee.
No worries at all. Ossian Pahaka, Joni Bachmann, and a big victory for Finland. But that closes the curtain here on the iRacing eSports Network. And there's a lot of people to thank for getting this done. To Anwar Designs, the official graphics partners here at RaceSpot TV, with ATVO and AppGeneer, the official graphics engine. Our live timing and scoring brought to you by Nick Disson. Our animations by Simon Grossman. And of course, Istvan Balog's Track Cams 22 for getting things done. What a fantastic spectacle this World Cup has been this afternoon. And once more, it is Finland who stand on top of the mountain and say to all those who challenge, dare you try and come and beat us. We are on the level that says we are at stardom. And we are now starting to stare at the heavens going, the moon isn't too far away from us right now. But from Connery Maddock, from Jake Sperry, from Hugo Louise, who's been behind the cameras, it's another successful World Cup under the belt. And for the clubs that have been here in the semi-finals and the finals, to Club Canada, to Club DH, to Club UK and Ireland, and of course to your champions Finland, we say it has been a hearty amount of racing, some great racing, some fantastic spectacles, but ultimately it is Finland who find themselves once again with a World Cup under their belt. That's number 6. Number 7 will happen potentially in 1 year's time. Make sure you check that out, as well as all the other races that we've got on the iRacing Esports Network coming to you later this weekend. But for the time being, we're signing out for now on another Finnish triumph. Suomi takes another.